I think a lot of people might be new to Cantina, but the whole premise of the show is to have a conversation as if you were in a bar uh, about Liga MX, about everything going on here in the CONCACAF region. But I love this style because not too many podcasts out there allow their fans or their listeners to actually join in on the conversation. Wow. All right, let me kick this off. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 425. We currently have Champions Cup quarterfinals going live. America whomped New England Revolution 4-0, and Tigres got a 1-1 draw against Columbus Crew. Tomorrow, Messi has his debut in Mexican soil against Monterrey. We'll talk about that, and of course, Liga MX results, and also some of the rumors surrounding Jimmy Lozano and some potential replacements. Scolari comes to mind. Scolari, sorry. But before I go any further, I want to let y'all know we are powered by manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping using promo code Cantina. Want to welcome my good friend and co-host Joel to the show. Joel, how we doing?
Doing good, Jaime. Just got to see that last goal from Ame. Big 4-0, massive win for them. And as you said, Messi playing in Mexico, um, but also the return of Tata. So that should be interesting to see how he gets welcome. And there's been a lot of hate being, you know, drummed up prior to his return with
Yeah.
some of the former national players talking shit. He stayed quiet, I guess, because he knew he's, he's gonna have to go there pretty soon. I better not rile him up. Um,
Yeah.
but I would say Monterrey, out of like all the venues, is one of the more calm ones. Like where like, I wouldn't expect anything to happen. I guess this shouldn't, but some other venues, is some rowdy ass fans where they might try something.
Yeah.
Assault the. Well, I haven't seen it in a while, but the the team bus used to be assaulted. Fans would run and throw rocks
Oh,
and
yeah.
and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. I got ahead of myself. Tomorrow's game will be in Inter in Miami. Um, and they will close in Monterrey. However, though, they
I
did
was still thinking.
they did have a press conference today, and out of all people, Luis Suarez says he's got butterflies for tomorrow. He's nervous. He's excited. He has a lot of respect for Monterrey.
Dude, I was hoping it was at Monterrey the first game, just because they would close at Inter. I believe the rumors that it's designed for Messi.
Yeah.
Um, it's the cup, and that's when you get the favor, when things are lined up for your favor, then you close the series. You don't open it. So yeah, Monterrey needs to take advantage of this and get a good result. Do you think they were? I mean, do you think they were like saving some of this, and they didn't go hard against Chivas?
It's a great question and an easy excuse for Rayados fans. But I will say our track record against Monterrey is pretty strong. I don't know what it is about
Yeah.
the BBVA stadium, but we always do really well there. It's like our second home, and yeah, they got the two
Just
goal.
like a stick, Jaime.
Yeah, they got
Just like
the.
the stick.
I know the 2-0. Is very. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the game, but I did see the highlights, and Hector Moreno scoring an own goal, and then Ricardo Marin scoring the second goal, and a very very important result for Chivas, especially after.
and 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 Gago.
And Gago definitely got a little bit more of a lifeline. I
Do,
think like
do you?
the three games against America, he got beaten up, but then ended strong. And I think this result, is gonna put things back into perspective for him.
Yeah, that win for him. Had he lost, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if going into the match already had his luggage. Well, I don't think they would have sacked him on the spot, but that would have pretty much ended the season. Just like all the things that are involved with just losing. Like you could lose the locker room, like the confidence of the players, the fans, and yeah, to not be able to bounce back or show any fight. So yeah, it was that was like it was set for Ahmed to put that final nail in the coffin, and she was just rose up Undertaker style. Do you remember really quick the old a- ads that Vergara used to put like in the street, those street signs?
I
And
don't
he
know.
he used to put, yeah, you could Google them, you could probably find pictures of them. And he had one prior to a clásico, and it was gonna be at Azteca, and it said, "En su nido solo nuestros huevos." And that always stayed with me.
Damn.
That big ad. He did another one where it was like the Tweety Bird. I thought I saw a putty cat,
Oh, that
and
one I remember that one. That one was great.
eh, that one got to the point where Molotov did a song.
Really?
They ended up doing a song talking shit about Chivas. Yeah, yeah, but Vergara was pretty cool because he didn't take it. Like, I think he ended up even meeting the band. But yeah, Molotov did a song because they were like, we need to get back at these dudes.
Are they Pumas fans?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh shit, that's
yes,
crazy.
sir.
Yeah, I remember they
Yeah,
were
it was.
like Tuca was very upset about that, because before the game they did the homage to Reyes, right? Salvador Reyes,
Oh,
and he played in the game. He actually played in the game, and they let him kick the ball, right? Like they actually let him like kick the ball, and then he got subbed out, and they did this great thing for him. And then we end up, whooping their ass 2-0, or I forgot what the score was.
he's,
And then we tweeted after the game about, like that tweet that you mentioned about the Tweety Bird or whatever. And then
yeah.
it's like, yo, we came to your house. We were respectful. Then you guys just straight up like shit on us after. Like, all right, that's not cool.
And when the dude was like 80, I
He
remember
was
he
old,
was
dude.
mad because
Uh,
he was mad. He said he needed more playing time. That he could have had. He had a good 15 minutes.
I
He only did
know.
like two touches, I think,
Yeah, it
but
was like 30
the
seconds,
initial
bro.
kickoff, yeah, they saw him. She was getting clowned hard because they were saying their only refuerzo for the season was an 80-year-old guy.
I know.
I was like,
Yeah,
damn.
I wanna like find some footage of that game because I remember like Bravo scored that game, and it was a fun way to start the season. We have Disco Fever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Already talking shit. He wants to
Oh,
say, I'm calling out Joel for his
oh
eventual take on why Jimmy or Piojo is a better coach than Jose Mourinho or Jorgen Lowe.
no,
He says even the
no,
fake
he.
Sven would be a better coach than Jimmy and a better goalkeeper than Televisa Ochoa. Man, Disco started with violence into the pod.
I think you missed the last pod because I think I was talking about here's the last one or the one before, but I was listening to one of the spicy shows and they had Mario Carrillo on it,
Oh,
and he was just going hard on Jimmy, and he was talking about how he messed up the tactics, and but he made the points where I was like, I actually agree with what this guy is saying because he was saying like all of you guys are we're talking about the US being this great team. He said, but that doesn't excuse Max to like not play a better match against them because eventually you have to play against the top teams, the Brazils, the Italys, the Argentinas. And if you can't handle these dudes, you can't step up to them, then what are you doing? What are you going to expect to do against the bigger teams? And I was like, snap, this guy has a point. And I felt that same way because I'm like, as good as they are, that's a team that the World Cup only had one win, 1-0 versus Iran. Haven't really, their away record is pretty sus. Anyone could go check it. They really haven't done much.
Yep.
Uh, so everyone's just impressed because, oh, this guy is AC Milan, this guy's Juventus, and some of them were in Chelsea and in Barcelona, and that's like the jersey. They're impressed by the jersey more than anything. They will let's see what the team does, especially outside of the region. They've had a lot of success in the region, but all tournaments played in the U.S. Yeah, we could expect Mexico to probably do the same if they were playing every final at Azteca. They probably would have won 2 out of the 3, Nation Cups.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what he was saying, and I was like, I actually agree with this guy. I'm usually not for sacking someone or not letting them finish. And like at this point, but if he's not able to show anything at Copa America, then I would be all for, all right, just get him out. Especially because World Cup's just so close, and you just need
You
the type
think
of coach that
they're gonna call up Aguirre for a third time if shit hits the fan?
I think he would definitely be in the lineup. He definitely will be there. Just that he just seems so disconnected. But he's like more at home in Europe now.
Uh huh.
I don't know, but he's pretty smart in that he would get a coach from Mex, like kind of we did when he brought in Carrillo. I
Yeah.
don't know who he would bring in, um, but the one thing is that he's good at motivating his players. Um, you know, I'm just still left with that bad taste in O2, man. He completely shit the bed in that match.
I know.
He just all his cambios, everything. He
He took out
he messed
Ramon
up.
so early, dude.
Well, if you see the game, anyone could go rewatch that match. Dude, US was hacking. They were going hard. There
Yeah.
was even a clear penalty from O'Brien in the first half. He he does a handball in the box. Which would have been red card and penalty, and it doesn't get they gets missed by the ref, and they got to they got to Mex. They were just going hard on these guys, tackling them and whatnot, which is a big reason why you kind of see Marquez at the end when he goes on Kobe Jones and he does that like Mortal Kombat
Oh, dude, that was
punch,
insane.
kick, knee. But by that point, these guys already he just ended up looking really bad. But a lot of these guys have been getting hacked early on. To me, that was like part of their game plan. Like just take which I give them a lot of credit. It's like it's not just a match, dude. Like for them, it's like this is war,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we could still see that attitude still. This is, and I wanted to talk about this and I forgot because I was here. Heard Rafa Ramos make this point, which was like that is one of the glaring differences when you see US Mex, and he was talking about you don't have to motivate the US players, like especially when you hear them talking like pre-match, they're just more hungry for that game. Like, they just wanted more.
Is that
And
like
he says
a
when you hear
recent shift though, or has that?
no, dude, no, man, that's been for a long time, really long time. But I think a big reason is, and you guys mentioned it here, Mex loses, and it's like the sky is falling for like months from the media. And right here, if they lose, it's like whatever, dude. It's, the next day, it's like any other day.
They don't even get recognized on the street. No one gives them any time of day. So it's like so drastic, because in Mexico, I mean, it's like pressure, constant slander. But here in the States, like, Americans don't even know that they're playing. Like, what's Nations League? I have no idea. But I am curious to know, like, when that paradigm shift happened where, USA went from like having low self-esteem, getting, shitted on for a long time, and then this like resurgence of like, hey, you know what? Maybe we can beat them or whatever.
Well, I don't think that's the thing. I don't think they always had the low self-esteem. I don't think they always had like they always knew, all right, Max is better than us, but they had that mentality like, but we could still beat them. And you kind of see Max has that mentality with Brazil. They're 5-time world champions. They're way better than us. Their players are in the best teams, but we can still whoop their ass.
Yeah, I think
And
like
you,
I think Mexico like rises up to that challenge because it's exciting.
yeah,
It's like we're like beating we're gonna go up against like the greatest team in the world, Brazil, 5 World Cups. And to them, like they like to like fight for that opportunity. Whereas like USA has always been like our like little brother, like little bitch brother, and there was not really much of an incentive for Mexico to be like, yeah, let's like beat their ass. But I think now they've grown up and they've learned how to, you know,
yeah,
counterattack.
yeah. And there's been incentive. It just got ignored. It just got like when they so like we say we gotta talk about when they return to the big picture, which is 1990 World Cup. So they get to go to Italy, and then they're hosting for '94. So at that point, you're like, all right, these guys are back. Not only that, they hosted the Gold Cup, which was '91, and they won. They beat they beat Mex, and then they play Copa America '95. They beat Mex again, penalties. So I mean, by this point, we probably, I said by '97, it's like, dude, these guys are gunning for you. But the media was sort of like, I don't know, they sort of were like I think they got distracted because Gold Cup '93 was held in Azteca, and Mexico beats them like 4-0 or 5-0. So they're saying like, oh yeah, well, some of these other results, it was just that, like if it's a coincidence or something. But I think even if it was, it's by this point it's like it's on, dude. These guys are they're coming, and then you have the history, right? If you see the history of the two teams, they had eliminated Mex from the, what was it, 34 or 38 World Cup in Italy.
Hmm.
They played the one off and they beat Mexico. So I mean, there's some history there already. And then for them to just to think, it's like you're not paying attention to what your neighbor's doing, and they're stockpiling. They're going rocky.
Yeah, people forgetting
They're training in the meat factory and running and shit.
in
You're over
the
here.
'99 Confed Cup, we had to go to overtime to beat them in the semis.
Yeah, and it was in Mexico.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they had been for a while. It was just that Mexico will get that. They occasionally get that big win, that 4-0, 5-0 massive win, and they think, okay, this is how things are, and it's like, no, not really. Those wins are pretty far apart. That's not normalcy. But the media makes it seem that way. That's why it's every match. It's like if they don't win by that big margin, oh, you guys suck, or you don't know what you're doing, blah blah. And it's like, you guys not been paying attention to like they won the Gold Cup '91. They did lose that Gold Cup '93, but then they beat Mex in a friendly prior to the World Cup. So I mean, they have been getting results. So then by '02, Jaime, that was the
Yeah,
big,
that was
that
like
was the Stone Cold Stunner, man.
it had been
At this
building up
point,
for a while. Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting. But I think Mexico, they need to have bigger sites than the United States, and we'll see.
oh, they
Yeah, we'll see
they
what happens.
do, they do, but I mean, at the same time, that's still the regional rival.
Yeah.
Um, but to me, the big mistake the media's been doing. It's like making too much of a deal of not being able to beat them, and it's like doesn't matter if you really can't beat them because if you want to win a World Cup or a Confederaciones, you have to beat even. You know, it's other teams you're gonna be playing against. The odds of facing them, it's gonna be pretty low. So that's the whole like shouldn't be judging the whole Nat team just because of what's going on in the region, and we've seen it before. Leading up to other World Cups, where the U.S. would have Mexico's number, and then Mexico would go on and have a good World Cup, and then U.S. would be 3-0, not even get out of the group stage. And it's like, and if you forget, and the next World Cup, the media forgets all over again, and they start feeding us the same lines.
Disco Fever says we need Jose Mourinho! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! I think this is all coming from the rumor that Luis Felipe Scolari started to make some rumors on Twitter about him coming in to replace Jimmy Lozano. I saw that rumor. I'm like, I call cap on that, dude. That's straight up bullshit. But it's just interesting how these rumors start. Franklin Cap says USA have so much diversity of people. They could do what France do with all their foreign national players, but don't have the system yet. Yeah, Franklin, we did talk about that last episode. How a lot of their players, do come from different backgrounds, like Serginho Dest, Pulisic, a lot of players that could be playing for other countries. Um, of course, there's always the Mexican American kids too, having to choose between Mexico or the States. Again, recap for everyone listening in tonight on Twitter or on YouTube. We had CONCACAF Champions Cup action tonight with Tigres and Columbus Crew tying 1-1. And it was actually a little bit more, I would say, balanced. Columbus hosting. They did concede first. Andre Pierre Gignac got things going in the 18th minute. And then Diego Rossi tied it up before halftime. They will go into Mexico for the next game in Monterrey. And for New England, I mean, we kind of saw this coming. Played against America today and got their shit pushed in 4-0. Henry Martin, Zendejas, even Chicote got on there, and Brian Rodriguez 4-0. Easy peasy lemon squeezy for the Club America against New England. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we have Inter Miami playing Monterrey and Eridano versus Pachuca. Eridano, who is coached by El Piti Altamirano, Mexican player. So, should be some good action tomorrow. And I think for everyone that was on last week, we pretty much predicted this, that it was going to be a pretty easy day in the office for the Mexican clubs. And there is the away goal rule. So, it's pretty much mission impossible for New England to go to El Azteca and score 5 goals. Meanwhile, the Columbus game is pretty even with Tigres, but I'm sure Tigres at home with the fans and everything should have what it takes to get to the next round. As far as Inter and Monterrey, I think that is the most enticing match of these quarterfinals. Everyone's excited to see Messi, Luis Suarez, and company against a real test, and that is Monterrey with all their squad. Despite their loss on the weekend to Chivas, I think they were rotating players so they could have a good lineup against Inter Miami tomorrow, especially because of the traveling and whatnot. Looking at Liga MX's results, we had match week 13 over the weekend. Puebla, what a match they had against Tigres. Some great back and forth action, but Tigres ended up winning that match 3-2. America handled business against San Luis 2-1. Mazatlan and Tijuana. Mazatlan won 2-0. Again, Chivas beat Monterrey over the weekend. 2-0 on the road. Pachuca Toluca 3-2. And I feel like I picked the wrong games to watch because I watched Pumas and Cruz Azul 0-0 draw. And then the next day I woke up to watch Man City Arsenal, another boring ass 0-0. Like I really picked the losers this weekend, Joel.
But yeah, you weren't betting, were you, Jaime?
No,
You didn't put.
I don't bet, but there
You don't
was.
bet.
I just think that like typically the Civil Wars are good. Like Pumas, Cruz Azul, both teams from Ciudad de Mexico. Usually those are some pretty good games, and they both were very disappointing. And then the Arsenal Man City, they're both fighting for a title this season, and nothing, dude. No action.
Nothing to look forward to. Nothing like that 3-3 game you shared, Jaime. 3-3 match between Cruz Azul and Chivas with Loco Abreu.
Oh man, those were the good
Fun
old days.
time. Dude, Moncho's goal, dude, the free kick.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fuck, I forgot. I forgot how good he used to kick that fucking ball, dude. He se la aplicó a Brasil también. I think that was Copa America win.
Yeah, there's this Twitter account. It's like Liga MX Sudamerica, something like that. It's these guys from South America that have clips of Liga MX, and they always post them. And went down on a nostalgia trip with that post about Chivas Cruz Azul. Those Chivas Cruz Azul games used to be really good, especially when they had Chelito Delgado. Man, that guy was a nightmare.
Oh yeah. The only thing about him, and Diaz, he'll agree, when if he comes in, he was like he was massive during the season, and then he would just sort of like disappear for Liguilla.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, if he would have maintained that form, they would have, I don't think he ever won with them.
I don't think so either.
They had, they had him and Luciano Figueroa. I think they both came from Rosario Central, and they went on to play the Copa America with Bielsa. They lose to Adriano, Brazil. They lost the final to Brazil. Close to having some Liga MX fame,
Mm-hmm.
where because they would won that Copa America with Liga MX strikers, and then Gignac would have won the UEFA, the what is with France. He misses that sitter. Who was it against Portugal? Yeah, would have brought some more fame to the league.
Mm-hmm.
We're cursed, I mean.
Disco Fever says, "I rather Mexico be like Italy, not qualify to 2 straight World Cups, but become champions." I don't know why we have to do why we have to negotiate that. Like, why don't we just win a World Cup without having to suffer for a little bit? I'm gonna go over the
Yeah,
standings. But go ahead.
oh, just real quick, that line of thinking, like that you need to like hit rock bottom, because I mean Italy would have done good regardless. They've always had massive talent,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like they needed to get knocked out. Um, but yeah, that's not all. It's not like it's just gonna impulse this massive change. I don't know where that line of thinking came from, because there hasn't really 70 wait 78 Max finishes last, right? Completely last. Uh, and then they don't even qualify for 82.
That's
So it's
crazy.
not like you would have think, hey, they would have. And then for 86, well, they didn't have to qualify because they were hosting again. And that was like Mexico's big big improvement. Just throw money at it. You know, if we're hosting it, then we can't. You know, we
Hmm.
can't be eliminated from.
Yeah.
At least we get to play. So I wouldn't trust FMF to find a solution from like if they were to like dig a hole. I just don't see them finding it. I just expect them to dig a hole even bigger.
Yeah, La Volpe has his own YouTube channel, La Volpissimo, and I've been watching it like religiously. And he says like he got into it with David Faikeson because he says like you guys like overhyped this national team. Like, what have we done to like like the way things are? It's like you guys are talking about how Copa America like semifinal or bust. Like, where do you guys you know where do you guys pull this out of your ass? Like where do you get the data to back up like, hey, like these are going to be our projections based on all the performances you've had this season? Like, there's no way that if you look at Mexico's last, I mean, from getting out of the groups, like not even getting out of the group stage in the World Cup in 2022 to now, there's no indication, no analytics, no data to back up. Yeah, this should equip to a semifinal minimum in a Copa America. Like, no, dude. Like, I just don't understand like where the media, you know, where they pull this out from, dude. Is like all these unrealistic expectations. I feel like that's they should have a little bit of responsibility with I guess changing the narrative of the fans and the expectations of the fans. The fans now are like, oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. We should be semifinalists. Like, for what? With what proof? With what data does those claims back? Like, there's no proof there.
Yeah, they need to sell the team. That's how they sell the team. Like they need to hype it up and get the fans excited, and it gives them something to talk about. But yeah, you're right. It usually does more bad than good because then people do end up having these unrealistic expectations. Like Mexican, they've reached the final twice. They've reached like three semifinals. So yeah, it's within the realm of being able to do it. But this current team is not,
No.
as strong as some of these other teams, or even in the same hot streak, as some of these other teams were, or they at least were playing at a better level. Even if they were more talented, they were still playing at a more, you know, they were playing better, and that's yeah, that hasn't been shown for a while.
You look at the group stage, and it seems deceiving because you have Jamaica, right, which should be a guaranteed victory, and then you have Ecuador and Venezuela, and you're like, historically, we've had a good go against those teams. Like, historically, we have played against Ecuador and beat them in a World Cup. As far as Venezuela, I mean, Venezuela have we've never ran into any issues with Venezuela. But if you look at the current standings for CONMEBOL, Colombia and Venezuela are 3-4. So I think you look at the group stage, you're like, oh, that's super accessible for Mexico. They should be able to get out of the group stage. Based on current form, I don't even, I don't know, bro. That's a tough one, and I don't think it's like last time where I mean I don't know what the qualifications look like. I know in Copa America in the past, like, oh, it's like the first two teams from the group stage plus like the best third place team. I don't know if that's going to be the case this time.
Yeah, but to be top five in CONMEBOL, yeah, that's a lot. That says a lot. Um, our hope is what team do they send? Because sometimes they'll send a B team because they want to put their marbles in qualifiers, and they're like, all right, I'll sacrifice this if I could find one or two more players that are going to become useful in case I get, suspension or injuries or whatnot. And so that happens sometimes. Some of these teams will send their B team because they're trying to foguear or try out other players. So that's one of the hopes for me.
Joel,
Ecuador and Venezuela. Yeah,
you do you think we could see Mexico fail to get out of the group stage?
yeah, dude. They should, and it's like you said, those teams are doing really good in World Cup qualifying. You they're not the big names, but if you're playing that good in games that matter, like that high importance, it just shows you have really good, really talented players.
Yeah, I mean, just to
And
give
I think,
just to give people context, Brazil is in sixth place. So
wait, why don't can we see what Venezuela's results are?
they have two victories, three draws, one loss. They're in fourth place.
Jaime, I want to see,
Like they're head to head.
yeah. So far, let me see. Wait, where does it go? Their last game was against Guatemala, 0-0 draw. But we don't know what squad they sent. And this is Tenas Guatemala.
Yeah, Flacotena.
Good good for him. Seems like they hosted that match. They lost 2-1 to Italy in Italy. Not bad. They lose to Colombia 1-0. They tied Peru away, which is good. It's always been a difficult venue. They tied Ecuador at home. They beat Chile 3-0. Oh, snap. It's Chile. This is not the old Chile. This is not Bielsa's Chile anymore.
Yeah,
They tied Brazil in Brazil, dude.
I know.
Um, in Brazil, and then they beat Paraguay, a hard team to beat. They lose to Colombia again. They beat Guatemala 1-0 at home because they did will return the favor. They beat Honduras. They tied Uzbekistan. Isn't this the Uzbekistan, the Big Macs
Mm-hmm.
in a friendly? People were people were upset. They were like Borat when he tries by the embassy. Let me see. They beat Syria. They tied Panama.
Yeah, Colombia beat Paraguay, Brazil, and Venezuela, and that's why they're in third place in
Oh,
the qualifiers. So,
all right. I was just going through some of these.
so
They did smack on Bolivia. Bolivia seems to be one of the. They just can't. They just can't get out of there.
yeah, one of the slump busters. But I mean, our last game against Colombia was I was there. It was prior to the World Cup. It was one of the last qualifying like friendlies, and we were winning 2-0 and then ended up losing that match 3-2, and that was like, yeah, upsetting for a lot of fans. Um, looking into this Copa America, dude.
Wait, just really quick.
Yeah.
This is where I think sometimes fans they get stuck on some of the like historical context or like stuck on like, all right, well this team hasn't done, like they're looking for some type of reference, like what has this team done? So it's like, oh, Colombia didn't do shit at the World Cup, or they didn't win a Copa America. But then they're like not paying attention to the caliber of players they have. And this is the Colombia that went on to, then they just smack around Spain. So it's kind of showing you like their power level, uh, and we kind of ignore some of that stuff sometimes.
Yeah, and
Yeah, they beat Spain 1-0 in Spain,
mm-hmm.
and they beat Romania. I think they're like on a massive undefeated streak.
Are they?
They, yeah, it's the same one that beat Mex, and they beat Spain, um, and they beat Brazil. Yeah, they haven't. They tied Uruguay. Uh, Damn, bro. They beat Germany. They beat Japan. Japan's the one, one of the teams that they've been getting a lot of hype. This just went and smacked them around.
Mm-hmm.
South Korea, damn, dude, they got like it's almost like a 20-game undefeated streak. All right, I'm gonna stop. Yeah, Argentina beat them, and then they went on to like they forgot how to lose. So you see the fans and the media crying.
Damn.
I'm like, dude, you're playing a pretty strong team. You weren't exactly playing El Salvador.
On June 20th, 2023, Colombia beat Germany for the first time in their history. And the coach, Nestor Lorenzo, yeah, currently has an undefeated streak with Colombia. And he did have some time in Liga MX as the assistant coach of Toluca and Tigres. So good for him. I was like, who was Tigres' coach in 2009? Was it Beckerman?
Dude, you're going too far back.
Yeah, so Beckerman, he was his assistant coach at Tigres. That's why. I was like, what? Because I'm like, why would he be in Liga MX as an assistant?
Yeah, it's surprising the names and the players that end up going through Liga MX. A lot of times
Yeah, so he was.
we don't realize.
So Beckerman coached Toluca in 2007, 2008, and then Nestor Lorenzo was his assistant, and then Beckerman went to Tigres, and then same thing, he came with him, so that's why he's part of that circle. Now he's coaching Colombia and doing a great job. I'm sure eventually he'll end up in Liga MX again.
I see Archie.
Yeah,
All right. Shit. Well, he's doing a really good job. He'll probably end up with another national team though.
yeah.
That usually happens in South America. And
I I heard these rumors about Scolari, and I'm like, let's like walk this through here. Scolari is. I feel like he hasn't been like he's not the same coach that won the World Cup in 2002. Man, that was 20 years ago. He's 75. He doesn't really have any history in Mexico. Is he the right guy to coach Mexico? I don't think so. The only thing that would make sense
same.
is that he wants because every coach wants to coach Copa America. So I think he could bring in some good insights from the rest of the Commonwealth teams. But, I feel like he's also been out of touch with Commonwealth for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's at the end of his career. Probably when, I mean, he would not only would he get Copa America, he'll get a World Cup to guarantee that Mex plays. Um, so I don't know, man. I don't like who knows which Solari would show up.
Yeah. All I know is, he did win a World Cup, so you got to give him his flowers, but that was in 2002. Then he coached Portugal and almost won a Euro with them. And then, he did coach Chelsea. Then he went back and coached Brazil in 2014. I don't know if he was the coach when they lost 7-0. I think he was. He was the coach. Scolari described the match as the worst day of his life and took responsibility for the loss. And then he resigned after they lost the third place match.
I don't need that mojo, Jaime.
I know, right?
Keep him away from us.
Yeah, that's true. His last stint was at Atletico Mineiro, and lasted about a year. So I don't know, man. I don't think he's the answer. You go from let's have a coach who's Mexican, who's young, who works with the youth, and then you fucking fire him to bring in a 75-year-old from Brazil. I don't think that's the move.
Well, you're describing him the wrong way. You'll be like to bring in a World Cup champion.
Yeah.
That's what it'd be. Which Mexico had one already
Who?
in Menotti. Menotti. He came in '93. He coached 7 games, and then they sacked him.
What World Cup did
Um,
Menotti win?
he won '78, the first one for Argentina.
Oh shit.
He's known for he he didn't he could have called up Maradona. He was young. He didn't. He left him out. Takes him to the under 20, I think it was, and he wins that with Maradona. But I think Maradona would have. He was just massive talent. I think he would have been regarded even higher had he played that World Cup. I think he would have done crazy shit.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. He won the World Cup with Argentina and he ended up in Mexico. That's fucking nuts, dude.
Well, 20 years later, but they had been like he was in contact. Like a lot of people were searching him out. Did you see the Güero Real podcast? Well, you linked it to me, and Güero Real talks about him and I forget the other guy's name. Two Mexican. They were coaches. Well, they were former players that wanted to be coaches. And he says he they traveled to Argentina. They went to meet up with Menotti. They figured out through where he drives when he's going to the Boca games, and Menotti brought them in, and he you know he realized they were legit. Put them in Boca gear and had them. He would have them right there when he would do the training. And then he said he would like after the training he would spend an hour just like I'm like, damn, this dude's like hooking them up.
Damn.
They just went to ask for help, and he did all of that, which was crazy. But yeah, Menotti, he had been in contact with a lot. I don't know if he ended up coming more times to Mex after that to coach Tecos, uh, and even the second division team, but just for like the final
Hmm.
to see if they to see if they would get promoted, to Primera back then it was called. Yeah, but dude, 7 games. You can see how FMF just doesn't care, man.
That's crazy, dude. I know I mean, not just the national team, but also Chivas have had the option of getting Biesla. And it always comes down to
Oh,
some bullshit, bro.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Chivas gets Vilsa would have been Johan Cruyff 2.0. They get him, and then they're like, all right, this isn't going to work out.
Hmm.
Bye.
Disco Fever says Vicente del Bosque would have been a great option. Yeah, I don't know about that. I I don't think like
Has,
having
has
a
he coached mid teams? Has he coached mid table teams?
I mean, he's only coached Real Madrid, Besiktas, and Spain. He's also the only coach to have ever won the World Cup, Champions League, the Euro Championship, and the Intercontinental Cup. That's crazy. I don't think a coach solves any of the issues that we're having in Mexico. You bring in Guardiola tomorrow, still not going to solve the problems because we don't have the tools that he requires to win, and that is The players. It's not like he has the same arsenal of players like he does at Man City. There's no Kevin De Bruyne. There's no Haaland that we can, pull out of our ass. So I think it doesn't matter if we get a coach from Europe. I think we've fallen into that fallacy before and it doesn't work. I'm going to go over the table real quick. As of right now, thanks to Chivas, America are in first place with 28 points, followed by Monterrey in second, also with 28 points. Toluca in third with 26 points, and I'm sure Alexis Vega is enjoying that. Tigres in fourth with 24. So those are the top four teams in Liga MX. If Liguilla was to start tomorrow, they would be automatically qualified to the quarterfinals. Now we're going to fifth place with Cruz Azul. They have 23 points. Pachuca in sixth with 22. Necaxa in seventh with 21. Gallos de Querétaro with 20 points are in eighth place. León in ninth with 20. Chivas in 10th with 19. Pumas in 11th with 17. And Santos Laguna in 12th with 14 points. So the positions 5 through 12 would go into a playoff, one single game elimination match to decide who would go qualify to the actual quarterfinals. The rest of the teams would be missing out on action, and they are as follows. 13th position, San Luis with 13 points. Mazatlan in 14th with 12. Atlas with 10 in 15th position. Juarez has 9 points. They're in 16th. Tijuana, who have still yet to win a game, are in 17th position, but they're not in last. That is Puebla with just 5 points, 10 losses. They are the team in last place. That is sad. The Super Camotes have ran out of Camote power.
They fizzled out.
They had Larcamon, they had Ormeño, they had things, popping, and then they just sold everybody.
Yeah, and then it's like sometimes they get lucky with the transfers or the players they bring in, and they'll have a pretty good competitive. And then you have all these seasons where they just bring in boatloads of crap. They're doing their Temu transfers. it's sort of like Pumas, with their bargain bin. Sometimes they get lucky and they'll find a diamond in the rough, and other times it's just trash.
Yeah, what about Piojo, man? No victories for him this season. How is he still coaching? That's crazy.
I still think he's being sabotaged.
Oh, yeah, le
I know I'm
tendieron
a
la
big
cama.
Piojo fan. I think as a promoter, he doesn't want him there. Damn, what's his name? Bragarnik. That's a very big influential. So he was the guy. He's he was behind Coca. He's Coca's promoter as well. Um, and in one of the interviews, I think it's with Faitelson, which is pretty good. Like hearing his take of what happened with the national team. But Faitelson asks him, like Bragarnik went to that game and they lose to the U.S. He was there, and he asked him like, "Yeah, he's your promoter?" He's like, "Yeah," but I mean, that was like one of the how do you say it? Like like um goddamn, I can't think of the word, but concerns. That was one of the concerns of of Bragarnik, seeing how influential he is in the MX, and if he is the promoter of the national team coach, who's to say he wasn't he didn't have influence on which players get a call up?
Mm.
And so yeah, that was a massive concern, and I do think that's one of the big reasons they booted Coca from the national team.
Despite this struggle that he's going through with Tijuana, if Piojo Herrera, leaves at the end of the season, he will automatically have another job. Like this dude is always the most hireable man in Mexico, and I don't get it, man. And Tijuana's not even that. I mean, they look at their squad, man. They got some good players. Chuy Corona. They have um, Cucolizo. They have Efrain Alvarez. I mean, this team's not like that bad to be winless. It's a little concerning. You might be right with maybe the players, you know, tending the bed for him for his departure. But
Yeah, and look at like just if you guys want to wear that aluminum tinfoil sombrero for the conspiracies, um, Piojo is a Televisa guy. You know, that's who he's loyal to, and that's kind of the beef with you know Televisa and like I think Sonny. See, Richie's not here. Maybe Ron can tell us, but you there was a whole thing with like a trade embargo on America for a while. Where they couldn't even buy players. They were having some difficulty. They were digging in. They were getting all these MLS rejects like Gio. The mighty had fallen, and I think this guy was had played a role on that on making it so that they couldn't get some of the better players in the league.
that's interesting. Al Pastor, welcome to the show. How'd you enjoy the Chivas Monterrey game? Have you been keeping up with the Champions Cup? Predictions for tomorrow between Messi and Monterrey.
Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, I've been keeping up. I'm not gonna lie. I was very surprised by the Chivas result. Even though historically we have more wins in that stadium head to head than Monterrey does, so we do well there. I don't know, man. That's just that Monterrey roster. I see it, and I think like this is what Chivas roster would be if we had money. Because if you look at all the Mexicans they have a lot of good Mexican players. But then here we come and we beat them 2-0, so my whole train of thought just goes out the window. And then as far as like Champions Cup, America result easy, man. I went in on America tonight as far as like betting wise. The reason why is New England. They were supposed to close out at home, so they were supposed to play in Azteca tonight. But New England said, you know what? We'd rather host a concert instead of hosting the closing out the series. Dude, and any other tournament, can you imagine Champions League quarterfinal and Madrid's like, no, you know what? We don't want to close out at home because Taylor Swift's coming to town. How about
If
you guys close
if
out?
if Vela was the president, I could see that happening.
But I'm just saying, like that tells to you how much they don't care. Like from the club all the way up, and that translates to the players. So once I saw that shit, I was like, all right, America's in good form, a great form actually, and they playing against this team could give two fucks, easy win, and that translated over. As far as tomorrow, Monterrey definitely has a better defense than Miami, definitely. But after they just lost to Chivas, dude, I don't know. Messi's gonna be out though, at least for the first half. So I think Monterrey they either tie or they win. I don't see Monterrey losing.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You bring up Azteca. They were supposed to start renovating to get it been prepared for the 2026 World Cup, and now I heard that they've hit a snag, and it's about the suites, the palcos that the palcos have been. I think they were sold, so there's like other like ownership involved with some of the suites, and like they're not willing to give it up for the World Cup or some shit like that. So I don't know, man. I don't even know if Azteca is gonna be ready for the World Cup in less than 2 years. I don't know if Ron has more insight on that. But yeah, that was something that I saw on Twitter today.
Yeah, I think how it works out is that the Azteca suite owners, it's not like here where like you pay, you like lease it. I think down there they actually like own the suite, so they don't want to give it up for the World Cup because they own it. And then Azteca is offering to remodel the suites at no cost to them as a trade off for them giving it up for the World Cup. But I think that's the big problem, that the people that have those suites are not leasing them, they're not renting them, they actually own them.
Yeah, and I'm sure for the World Cup they have to be like repurposed, or FIFA has like full control over those suites because obviously they have control over all the ticketing and all that. So that's gonna be very interesting. I wonder like if they're gonna even be guaranteed like World Cup tickets. Imagine like owning a palco and then like FIFA stepping in and saying, "Yeah, sorry, buddy, this is ours now." But if you want to go to the World Cup, you can enter the lottery, because I think that's how they do tickets. It's not like you can just buy World Cup tickets. You have to put your submission in, and it's like you're part of this like lottery. But yeah, super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's going on. That's why the Palco owners are mad. But at the same time, it's like, hey, my guy, it's the World Cup. Nobody cares about you. FIFA's always done this. Why do you think all of a sudden, because you're some rich guy who owns this Palco, that you're an exception to the rule?
Thiago Volpe went on with Ficacen and said that he doesn't want to take up a spot on the national team for the goalkeeping position. So he might eliminate himself from the running, but we'll see. I applaud him for going on record and saying that. Um, but yeah, I was having some conversations over the weekend about the national team, and everyone agrees like Ochoa's kind of like, I think it's time. I think it's time to replace him, and uh, I don't know if Malagon would be an upgrade over Ochoa, but I think it's at minimum we should be at least seeing him starting to get the exposure and prepare him for the 2026 World Cup, because I mean we saw his reactions on that Nations League final. It's just he's looking bad out there. It's just he's not the same goalkeeper from 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, what stood out to me was what Fidel Ambris said. That he said that, him and all the young guys are raising their hands for the national team, and that these games would be perfect for them because, they're all between 18 to 23, and that by the time they get to the World Cup, they're older, they're more experienced, they got a bunch of games under their belt, but that those chances are not being given to them. And a lot of people will argue, you have to earn them. You can't just be given these opportunities, which is true. It makes sense. But at what point can you actually earn something and have a fair shot? Like, for example, like what will need to happen for Ochoa to lose his spot?
What?
Him retiring? Like, let's say he had 10 shitty games in a row with the national team. He would still have his spot because people would say, but look at everything he's done. Or in the World Cup, he always turns up. These friendlies, this Copa America doesn't matter. What matters is the World Cup. He's that guy during the World Cup. So let's be honest, it's not gonna take him fucking up to be removed from the national team.
You have to get injured. That's the only way, bro. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
only way.
injured or the coach to have those huevos to actually do something. What I mean by los huevos is like Jimmy, he had this whole thing of like generational change and all that. My guy, like fucking Brazil, man. Brazil has gone through like Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar, Vinicius, and now they're on Endrick. While Mexico's still like through their same guys. The USA, man. Like I hate bringing them up, but look, they missed out on the World Cup because they were playing with all these young guys. And now all these young guys look good. Their last World Cup, they didn't do shit. I think they had the same record Mexico had in Qatar. But they look a lot better right now. Who knows what happens in the future? But right now, they look a lot better going into the 26 World Cup than Mexico does. Or are you going to tell me that's a lie? Are you going to tell me that one team doesn't look more promising than the other?
We were talking about that earlier, not necessarily comparing us to the US, but as far as we're looking into the group stage of Copa America and just like the current run of play, like Mexico doesn't get out of the group stage, bro. Colombia, Venezuela are both doing phenomenal in Comebol. And I don't think it's as accessible as the media is saying, as the fans and pundits are expecting us to do in Copa America. If you look at the current run of form, Mexico has no evidence, no data to back, and the talent. They don't have the roster to be like, yeah. Not only should we be getting out of the group stage, but we should be expecting a semifinal at minimum. I'm like, with what, dude? Like, where do you come up with this bullshit?
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from. And, like, I was a guy that wanted Bielsa for the national team a lot. And look at him with Uruguay right now. Pinchi Suarez. Suarez is scoring goals in MLS every weekend. Call it MLS, call it Sunday League, whatever you want, but he's scoring. Pinchi Cavani, he's doing well with Boca Juniors. Scoring great goals, turning it up with them. Bielsa erased both of them from the Uruguay national team. One of his main guys right now is Binas. Binas just scored his first goal with Uruguay's first team like a few weeks back, like this last international break. And that's the thing about Cavani didn't do anything to get kicked out of the team. Suarez didn't do anything to get kicked out of the team. Their only sin was that they're older, that they're not going to be ready for the 26th World
Yeah, but
Cup.
you're really comparing Uruguay to Mex
No, I'm
when they have
comparing
like
the
like
fact.
hundreds of players. Yeah,
Can you
but Mex doesn't have that. Mex has like 80 players total. That's
Okay,
it compared to like 600 of Uruguay.
he
dude,
compared Brazil to
you're
Mexico too.
comparing Binas. You're
Jeez.
comparing Binas, who plays in Liga MX, to a guy who plays in MLS and a guy who plays in Argentina. You're telling me that Ochoa, and Ochoa right now is the scapegoat. I'll be honest. You could name whatever other positions. Okay, let's go. Let's go with the left back position. Arteaga has benched Gallardo at Monterrey. He has benched him. Arteaga's the starter. But when they go to the national team, Arteaga sees 2, 3 minutes, gets subbed in after the 90th minute, and Gallardo's a starter. So what that tells me is that the coach says, I don't care what you're doing at your club. I care about the guys that have been with me the longest and know my system, and that's who I'm going with. And
That's a lot of
that
coaches.
that might be a good thing. It might be a bad thing. It's everyone's opinion. Me personally, I think when it comes to the national team, you got to call up your guys who are in the best form. So
Kind
how
of
the
like
fuck is
what
Gallardo rotting in the bench?
kind of like what
Wait,
Piojo did in 2014, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah,
no.
he took America. America was playing the best, so he put them at
Oh,
base.
you see how? Oh my! You see how the contradictions just
What contradiction? What's the contradiction?
you guys call Piojo. You pretty much call him
Piojo right now is a bum.
right.
Yes,
Oh, right now.
yes. Right now he is
Na-
a bum.
Name me another coach that did what you said Piojo did in 2014 while they were in the national team. Take
So
the best players in their
Aguirre Aguirre did that in 2002
Cruz
with
Azul.
Exactly.
with
He
Cruz
brought he
Azul.
brought in Cruz,
No,
he
I was
brought in Cruz
everyone.
Azul and Pachuca.
And
He brought
shit
in the
the
Wait,
Cruz
bed.
Azul
no.
and Pachuca guys.
In '02, he did take Aspe. He took Luis Hernandez.
No, I'm talking about when when they
No,
were
no, no.
when
When
they
he
weren't
took, when he
qualifying,
took,
when they were
Oh
in
wait,
risk
that
of
was 2010. My bad. He
no.
did it too, but then in 2010 he sort of shit the bed.
In 2002 when it was like, you know,
Yeah,
break
and that
when it
thing he
was like
did. It
he
was
came in at
Cruz
the
Azul Pachuca, I think.
like Mexico had to win out the rest of the qualifiers to qualify. Like he used a mostly compiled squad from at
he,
the time
he,
Cruz Azul was doing really well and Pachuca,
he,
right?
so yeah, they did that because they were, like I said, their teams were they were some of the better teams in Liga MX at the time, and he felt that using that core, that vertebrae, their defense and stuff like that. That's what Aguirre did. Piojo did something similar in 2014 when he took over that fiasco, and he basically used a lot of America's players, and they those, if you check out the roster and basically the entire roster that went into to New Zealand, most of them were Americanistas that were on the roster. You know, so
Yeah,
I
he
understand.
wanted to take that team to the World Cup.
Well, I mean, that's why in a way
We
that's
make
why.
a comment. We don't need the Europeans.
No, but here's I mean, if you think about it, I mean, after they qualified to the World Cup and stuff like that, that's probably, I mean, that's one of the reasons why Moy Munoz kind of felt a little betrayed, because now, after he qualified, he thought he was going to be a shoe-in for for um, for Brazil. But after they qualified, Piojo had 6 months to basically think about the World Cup roster, and didn't end up taking Moy. But as we were talking about is, sometimes the coach, and many coaches have done this, where it's not it's who you feel comfortable with that understand your style. I mean, La Puente in '98, everybody thought he was batshit crazy for taking Peláez over Hermosillo. You know, but what did Peláez do? He scored goals in the World Cup, and then, everybody forgot about Hermosillo. Hermosillo who? No, Peláez. He fucking played pretty
And
well in the World.
that was one of the criticisms of La Puente to Bora, that he wasn't capping Hermosillo.
Well, but
He used to
who
criticize him for not
at, at,
calling.
at the at the end who at the end it worked out for La Puente. But
Like,
here's the thing, if you're going to be loyal, that's a double-edged sword. I mean, that was Ojito's demise, because he was taking guys that had played under him at Cruz Azul and Toluca and stuff like that, and that were loyal to him.
Ojito said,
Victor Ruiz,
oh,
trash.
Victor Ruiz, he took
no, but you know what? Ojito said
they took, hold on, he had Omar there were a lot of players that Ojitos took that were good, veterans, league players, but were not able to play at the international level. Like, what's his name? Omar Blanco. There's another guy, Angel, I forget whatever his name is. Chimar, Victor
Abundis,
Ruiz. No, no, not him, not him. There's another one. I forget his name.
Marco
But
Ruiz.
there,
No.
no, no, no. I was never convinced with him. But Chima Ruiz, he had played under different coaches, so it was not just uh, um, Ojitos. But what I'm saying is, Ojitos also basically stuck with his guys, and he failed. And I
Well,
remember
he
that.
said, well, run really quick. He said in a interview that there was some national team players that straight out told him not to call them up because they weren't gonna accept the call up.
Well, his first mistake, Ojitos' first mistake, was calling up Cuauhtemoc Blanco to a game
Oh, dude, that stupid
that
friendly.
had
Oh no, no,
that
it
had
was called right.
they were already qualified. I mean, they'd already
Yeah,
qualified.
yeah.
It was in the
Trinidad.
semis it was in the semis, but they had already qualified to the Hex, right? So there was no need to bring in Cuauhtemoc Blanco for that game. He should have stayed in Spain, and tried to establish himself in Spain. But no, Hito Mesa wanted to bring the big guns for this game, against Trinidad and Tobago, who I think we won like 7-1, 8-1, or something like that. But
I,
but you know
I used to send that picture to Ron all the time of Ansel Elcock.
yeah. So
He's kicking him right in the ankle.
yeah. So I mean, every coach has done this. It's worked for some. It didn't for others.
Wait, Ron, quick question about Moy Munoz.
Yeah.
Did he get fat before or after Piojo left him out of the national team? That
What's
dude
that?
packed some weight, man. Munoz.
He just has
Munoz,
he has a fat face, bro. He's not that fat.
Dude.
Nah, they
Chima
showed.
Ruiz las
No, but
they used to call him
they used to what did they used to call him? El
No,
Doritos,
no.
El Doritos Munoz or something like that.
Dude.
Because he was like,
Wait,
you know,
man.
he did really well in the 2002 Libertadores.
Wait, I didn't mean Chima Ruiz. I mean Pastor Lozano. Tacos el
Pastor
Tacos el Pastor Lozano. Dude, that dude was really good, but I guess he liked eating more. And
Yeah.
Disco Fever says Bielsa has the balls to kick out Ochoa, Gallardo, and Henry Martin.
You know, he has like 600 players to choose from. The thing about Ochoa is like, you really don't have that many Mexican players that are shining, that are like killing it, like that are like making the highlight reels week in and week out. You don't have him. That one kid with the long hair, and he kind of disappeared this season. You know,
Cordova?
so you don't have that, and people are just. I know the Santos guy. He
Acevedo.
looked like.
Acevedo.
Yeah, there you go. I do with the long hair. He looked like.
Yeah,
he got
but
injured.
that guy is like 3 tournaments ago. Right now, your main candidate would be Malagon. America right now, they're candidates to win CONCACAF Champions, and they're candidates to win Liga MX. They're candidates to win both tournaments. So the goalkeeper who is good enough for the team, who's candidates to win the Continental Tournament and their domestic tournament, why isn't good enough to at least deserve 2 games? 2 games with national
he does
team.
deserve a
See
call up.
how he does. That's the argument. The argument is not that Ochoa is terrible and Ochoa needs to go. The argument is that these guys coming from behind aren't even receiving the chance to show themselves.
Yeah, see, and that's on the coach. Like, cause everything seems
exactly. So
seems
that's
like
the whole argument. You say Bielsa's only doing it because he has 100 players to choose from. At the end of the day, Bielsa is doing it.
What the hell has Fidel Lambriz done?
Giving Malagon a chance.
What has Fidel Lambriz done except run his yap?
No, but the whole thing with Fidel Lambriz, what he was saying,
right? Yeah.
No, but with Fidel Lambriz, what he says that there's guys coming in behind that want that chance. He's right.
You know how you get that chance? You do something you play consistent football during the league.
And that was my point with
and
Arteaga.
He hasn't been doing that. So he needs to stay at Leon and shut his yap, just like that bum Pulido. I don't know why the media is on like a Chivas interview circuit, interviewing all the bums from 2017, asking about the call-ups to the Nations League.
Okay, so going with your argument, before the Chivas loss, Monterrey had 0 losses all tournament.
Wait, what's my argument? What are you saying?
Arteaga has been the consistent starter. So Arteaga has earned his chance.
Consistent? I mean, how many? I mean, the season started and Gallardo kept playing. I mean, Arteaga playing for a couple games makes him.
Arteaga beat Gallardo. So how come Arteaga, he goes to Nations League and they sub him in at the 90th minute when they're losing 2-0? You call that giving players a chance or players earning?
You got to take. You got to make
good enough to.
You got to take advantage of all the. You got to take advantage of every minute you get. And
no seas mamón, vas perdiendo 2-0. What are you gonna do at the 90-minute plus 3?
I'm talking about all of them in general. You're making excuses for them.
Not making excuses.
So how do you? You said 2 games, right?
Okay, you
said 2 games, right?
That to use the term
Malagon
vacas sagradas.
Well, you said
that Jimmy Lozano's giving a legit chance to players outside of las vacas sagradas?
Who has done something to deserve a chance?
And are you saying the vacas sagradas have done something to deserve their chance to stay as starters?
So they're not doing. So what you're saying, since the starters suck, let's put a bunch of guys that haven't done nothing because they might not suck. That's what you're saying.
In their club, they're showing that they don't suck.
Well, again, I'm asking you, what the hell has Fidel Lambriz done?
You're focusing on one guy. I brought up his quote. Not once did I say Fidel Ambriz needs to start today.
And then you use Arteaga, the guy that got red carded for doing something stupid against Chivas, right?
Something stupid? I don't know. The lip reading on the video doesn't say he did something stupid.
Isn't that stupid? Getting a red card for doing something like that?
No, he said no mames, and then the ref said no mames.
Well, that's a different argument. That's a different argument. It's something stupid because he cost his team the game. That's what I'm saying.
Mames. Saying no mames.
So getting a red card in the first half of a game isn't something stupid?
No, that's just jerarquía. Just say the truth. He doesn't have that jerarquía to talk like that. Because Guiñac calls them pendejos, and somebody's gonna go to their house.
That's a different argument. You're shying away from what I said. What young guy has been playing consistent to be demanding this call up and being interviewed by the media?
I just think Santi should be starting over Henry, dude. That's a pretty obvious one.
And that's going to solve all of Mexico's problems.
No, here's the problem is, I don't even care what two forwards you have. If Mexico cannot play from the back, and if they're not basically giving their attacking players, giving them passes where they're in an advantageous position, it doesn't matter who your forwards are. I mean, honestly, if our forwards are receiving basically passes with their backs to the goal, we're in trouble. The problem goes far beyond. And I get it. Look, right now, Santi, because of the way he's playing right now, he should be playing. He should be starting, right? But like I said, I don't think Santi would have done anything. I mean, he was. They were just basically trying to play the long ball, beat the opposition's back with a long ball, and that's. I mean, you can do that one or two, a couple times during the game, but if that's what you're doing consistently throughout the game, shit, Mexico didn't do anything. I mean, I think I was just like, for example, today's game, with America and New England. I thought the way America was playing from the back was just phenomenal, and I'm like, dude, are not all the teams not doing this in Mexico? Because I mean, it used to be where most of the teams in Mexico were playing from the back and creating opportunities. I mean, I right now, I just don't see players on the national team. I don't think that we've been playing the brand of soccer that I was accustomed to. And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think a lot of the players that are, reaching the national team don't really have, they're not, I don't think they're national team players, a bunch of them. And in part, it's not their fault. It's because, they don't have too many international games under their belt. I mean, just to give you put this in context, before Hugo Sanchez debuted as a in the first division, he had over 40 international matches, as a youth national team, the under teams and stuff like that. I mean, what are our players doing? Hello?
Yeah, we're here. I'm listening.
So I just think that's a problem, that our players are not exposed right now to a lot of international matches.
And I'll say the ones outside of the youth teams, because the players from the youth teams do have a lot of, but then again, it's like they don't all pan out. So you do have a big chunk of players that, if you weren't part of that setup, then yeah, chances are you didn't have that.
So, but here's the thing. I mean, we go back. When we had Copa Libertadores, when we were playing in the CONMEBOL tournaments, when we had promotion relegation when we had the Copa Mexico for these like past 10 years when they brought that back. I
Bro,
mean, what's up?
sigues chingando con relegation, güey.
No. What
Every
I'm
week you bring it
no,
up. No, but see,
no.
it was fake, dude. Come on, it was fake. Well, once they did,
Look, I've
well,
been,
once,
I have told you this, and I've said it many times before in the past. I don't think, it's not that I don't think Mexico has not had a true promotion relegation in the last 40 years because
there you go.
because
See, thank you.
I said that before because because I can't remember the last time that all the clubs in the second division had no affiliation with any of the clubs in the first division. I understand that, okay,
Yeah,
but the thing about it is by killing promotion, by killing the promotion relegation, is you're basically telling all the other investors in all the smaller markets, fuck you. And that's a problem. I mean, one of the things I was happy when Copa Mexico was brought back up. I now did I like the format? No, but did I think it helped out with the smaller
yes.
markets and stuff like that? Yes, I did. Um, and again, I don't see right now a lot of good caliber players on the national team, and that's in part because I don't think that the players are getting enough exposure. A lot of the youth players are getting enough exposure, both in domestic league and also international league. I said this last week because Mexico does the only thing that they're really doing competition wise is like Campeones Cup and Leagues Cup and stuff like that, and the Conca Champions. We don't really know how well our teams are doing. At least when we had, Copa Libertadores, when we had Copa Sudamericana, when we had Copa Confederaciones, we had Copa America, you were getting tested every year. Every semester you were being tested. I mean, I remember, like every match day of Copa Libertadores, if like the three, Mexican teams or the two Mexican teams, if they did well, boom, okay, we were happy. If there was a bad match day, you know was like, man, where the hell are we doing? I mean, this is embarrassing and stuff like that. So I mean, you knew basically each match day, you were able to gauge and you were able to basically analyze what the true level of the league was and what the national team was. Because I mean, you think about it, you had Gold Cup, you had Copa at the National League level. You had Gold Cup, you had a Confederations Cup, which I think we only missed out. I think once or twice, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and the Copa America, and then you had the World Cup. So you basically had three tournaments, right? Now we just basically have Gold Cup and the Nations League, which is really the same thing. There's it's worthless. I mean, now we're having the Copa America, but that's really because of that's kind of like the mini World Cup, to prep the U.S., Mexico, and Canada for the World Cup. My concern is Mexico going to start? Are they going to continue with the Copa America after 2026? If they don't, we're screwed.
Wait, just really quick, going back to relegation. To me, once they did the tabla de porcentaje, I was like, all right, this is just because it should just be at the end of the season, the worst team, you're out.
Well, here's
End
the
of the
thing.
season, not you accumulate points and you can
Yeah, I
suck for
mean,
3 years
No, but
before
you
you're
can
eligible
nitpick,
for you get the fuck out of here
here's
with
the
that
you
shit.
can
here's the thing.
nitpick and say that
Here's
it's terrible,
here's
but it
the,
gives
the
the other
thing.
teams hope.
It's a bitch
Here's
move.
the thing. People thought that the what do you call it, the aggregate, right? Uh, was to benefit the big teams, and that's just a lie. That was not designed to basically help out Cruz Azul or America or Chivas. They may have had a bad season and stuff like that, but they weren't going to have six bad seasons. Okay. Now that was designed to basically help the smaller markets. Say, okay, hell, we screwed up one season, but hey, we got the next one. So it gave actually the smaller and the mid teams more breathing room than the big teams. Now, did I like it? Not really, but I understood why they did it. I mean, it would have just been better. Hey, the lowest, the team in the standings.
Last place. Here you go.
But like I said, I mean, we're not in the European market, and we can't always do what other what other
No,
like.
but we don't need to. I mean, Mix had it before.
I know we had it and stuff like that. But again, if the point if if you're the president of Liga MX or the federation and stuff like that, and you want to attract more investors and stuff like that, you got to give them assurances that they're going to be okay with their investment. So if you're going to use that system where you're using an aggregate over basically 3 years, which is 6 seasons and stuff like that, that's more of an incentive. That's more of an incentive for those type of investors, because if you're going to go out and if you're going to go out you know after 1 year, which some clubs did, it did happen. They played their 2 seasons, which is 1 year, 1 calendar year, and they went down automatically. But I mean, that didn't always happen. um Again, I just keep going back to, because I think that's just the fundamental problem with the national team, is of why Mexico is in trouble, because we don't have we don't have access to competition. I mean, like what's his name, Osorio said. You need your players playing, top competitive matches week in and week out, and we're just not doing it. If I mean, I would love for the Mexican players to be playing, in the Champions League, at least a good, 10 of them, get 10, 12 of them, but if we can't do that, then where else are we going to do it?
A small tidbit for you gentlemen. Do you know how many teams disappeared in the last 20 years in the Ascenso and Primera A?
In Mexico? Whew. At least 20.
Let me see. Colibris.
I seen a
You
video.
had
Yeah, go.
you had
Indios.
Tecos,
Indios.
Indios,
You've had Morelia.
Bravos, Campesinos,
Veracruz.
uh,
Morelia.
Two versions of
Morelia.
Veracruz.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you've
So
had
there's
a
been
lot. Yeah.
you've had
72.
How many?
72.
In 20 years?
Damn, dude.
are you talking first division?
That was WAP.
No. Ascenso Primera A.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually a lot more than that.
In
by
the
the way.
last, what, 20
Yeah.
years?
I seen a video a couple years back that was that gave that estimated.
There was an art. I would have to look for this, but there was an article in Football Total, in one of my magazines, and then the late Jorge Whitker and Soccer Marnia basically did an article on that. So I mean, it's a lot more than that. It's a lot, and that's why I told Hoyle that you know Mexico hasn't had an autonomous second division, third division since the late 60s, early 70s, because that's around the time that the first division started to basically buy the franchises, and basically just to maintain their position in first division. Um, so, but it's I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the promotion relegation. I'd love to have it. I really would. But if it's going to be where 18 out of the 20 Ascenso teams are technically owned by the first division, well, one can say, well, what's the point of it? You know, I would rather forego promotion relegation. Okay. And if we're going to use the American sport model where we have the franchises, that's fine. But you basically allow, like, if we're going to have 18, rather than having like 18 teams, all right, if we're going to have 30 teams, like and start having teams in Campeche and Nayarit and stuff like that. Okay, but I would see more benefit of the teams in Mexico competing with the South American teams than having promotion relegation. But of course ideally I'd like to have everything on the table.
Orlegi pretty much after Atlas won their first title, he did an interview with Faitelson in his channel. He pretty much accused Faitelson brought up the Ascenso talking point, and he Orlegi pretty much accused Chucho Martinez and the Tigres owners of ripping off those Ascenso teams that come up, and those guys will supposedly make a killing. And
it's interesting.
That's why they didn't want it no more.
It's interesting because if two teams that have benefited greatly from Ascenso or from promotion relegation, it's those two teams. I mean, those guys in the 90s, those guys went up and down. Like I think they both went up and down twice, if I'm not mistaken, in the 90s. Pachuca and Tigres.
He was referring more to of the players that they loan out to those teams.
Oh.
Yeah, he meant, I think, and I seen another guy mention that Tigres loaned out Quiñones to Lobos WAP, and it was like supposedly it was off the books the amount of money that they charged them with because keep in mind that Lobos WAP only had that TV deal with ESPN.
Yeah.
So they didn't have much money, and I don't know how they got him.
So. Oh, it's
all a big mess. I mean, you would avoid that situation if the TV rights were all one package instead of the team that's getting promoted. Now they got to see if Fox Sports wants them, if ESPN wants them. No, if you're joining the club, you're a member
Chivas
now.
TV wants them.
Yeah, exactly. And then as far as with the whole promotion relegation, same thing. Even if the percentual was like not perfect, at the end of the day, what you were doing is you were giving the second division teams, the third division teams, hope that maybe one day they could play in Primera. So all these smaller markets might potentially invest more into their teams. Like, look up a map of the UK and their soccer teams. It's fucking insane. It's like, and basically any town with a population of over 25,000 has a quote unquote professional team. They have like 9 divisions within their pyramid. And the reason why is because they all have the hope that one day they can play in first division. And that hope actually plays out. Luton Town, they went up 3 divisions. The one that Giovanni used to play for, Ipswich, they were in third division last season, and now they're like six. They're in first place now in the championship, and they're 6 games away from going to the Premier League. Imagine if you had that in Mexico, where a team actually had the hope of going from Tercera to Ascenso to Primera.
They would sell the teams. It was very common for them to just sell the team. Like any team going up to Primera would immediately sell the franchise.
Exactly, and that's why you need regulations. So, like I said, it's a whole bunch of things that are a problem. But one thing that Ron was talking about, Mexico like playing from the back and things like that. I think the biggest thing that has happened in Mexican soccer, as far as national team is, it's just the concept of having lost their identity. That's it. Like there's no longer an identity. Back in the day, you knew the team was gonna play out from the back. They were have the other team run after the ball. They didn't care if they were playing the U.S. or if they were playing Brazil. They had their way. And now everything's so like influenced by Europe that now you have like Jimmy Lozano, playing counterattack against the U.S. because they got quote unquote better players. And it's like, dude, what the fuck happened to our identity? It's like boxing. Like the reason Mexican boxers are famous for, is because they're gonna give you a fight.
Mexican style, baby.
Yeah, they're going. It's Mexican style. They're going to give you a fight. Even during match, le van a
Unless you're
entrar a los
Canelo.
putazos, güey.
Have you seen did you couple that interview that James the Colombian did about the number 10,
No.
about the use of the number 10? He's saying that 20 years ago, every kid, pretty much in Colombia and Latin America and stuff like that, they dreamt of using the number 10 and being the number 10.
Oh yeah.
He says not anymore. I said right now it's a useless position, and part of that has to do because of Europe. And basically, the tactics that they've been using and the ones, and they're the tactics that they're, I guess, exporting to the world. And I remember I need to find that book again. I need to look for it, but it's basically, and I think I've made reference to it in the past. 1986 Pugna. It's the battle between it. It's like fight Pugna, whatever. 1986 Pugna entre Europa and Europa and Sudamérica. So basically, the premise is it's the differences between the Europeans and the South Americans, right? For supremacy. And in that book, they the author interviews a lot of coaches, um, from South America and from Europe. And I remember I'd have to look back, but there was this Brazilian coach that talked about that basically alluded to when the South American goes to Europe, they basically cut off his legs. And the thing about it is because the South American player for the most part comes from poverty, they always had to improvise. So when they take that innate sense of creativity of having to improvise, you basically kill them. And like I said, I'd have to find that book again, but I see that where and going back to like not everything. We can't just adopt everything just because Europe is doing it or because England is doing it or whoever. If you're going to do something, do it because it's a strong conviction that hey, this is why we're doing it, not just to copy because it's in fashion or whatever. If you're going to do tiki taka, don't do it because you saw Barcelona do it. You know, and I just think that that's one of the things that's also um, missing from this team is that there is no idea, there is no identity. You know, when you had La Puente, you knew you knew how you were going to play. When La Volpe was there, you knew how they were going to play. When you had Ojitos Mesa and like in league play, you knew how he was going to set up, right? I mean, for example, to Ojito's credit in the national in club, his Toluca in the late '90s, and then that little stint that he had with Pachuca, where he had Pachuca playing like fucking clockwork. I mean, I don't see that, and it's been a while since I've seen that. And I think part of that is because the new crop of coaches. I think of a quote from Tuca Ferretti where he's like, yo no soy director técnico, yo soy un entrenador. I don't think we have those anymore. I think we just have guys that just like to crunch numbers and crunch data and stuff like that, and don't really have coaches. We just have managers.
Yeah, La Volpe said that. He says that like everyone fell in love with Spain because they won the Euro, World Cup, Euro, and like now everybody has like that approach, and they do the rondos in training,
Yeah.
and they don't actually train like coaches nowadays don't actually like train players on their position and their positioning, like their format and all that. Like say they don't even do that anymore. Like players don't even know like how to position themselves correctly. Yeah.
If you're copying just for the sake of copying, why? I think that's stupid. I like I've heard, Piojo, to his credit, I thought he had America playing beautifully. But like for example, if I were to compare Piojo's America with Jardines America, I prefer. I guess the romantic in me prefers Jardines style because it's It's from the yesteryears of playing from the back and just how they open up the field and stuff like that. But the practical side of me, I liked Piojo's where Piojo in counterattacks was brutal. I mean, they were fast as hell. And I mean, it's kind of like that fight between like Bilardo and Menotti or La Volpe and La Puente, where it's two styles where if you know how to do it, then do it. And like right now, I don't think Mexico has the players to play from the back. I think they're going to have to basically do what, like something like Piojo, where it's just, play compact, play smart, and just do the counters. And if you're going to do the counters, you commit. It's like boom, bam, bam. And speaking of Jardine, what do you guys think of him with the national team? If Jimmy's going to get the can,
I don't think it would make sense because we're not at risk of not qualifying for the World Cup. If it was any other circumstance, like, hey, like we might not even make it to the World Cup. Let's bring in someone in Mexico that's doing well. Like, I could see that.
So when is an acceptable failure for Jimmy in Copa America?
I do think Copa America, dude. If the team doesn't show much at Copa America, then I am all for replacing him. Because this is obviously a team that needs. I don't think it's as bad as the media makes it look out to be. I'm saying I agree with what Carrillo said. This Mexican team with the right coach, they could put a stronger fight. And we've seen it. We've seen Mexican teams when weren't as talented go up against big teams and go toe to toe. I do think if the team doesn't show much in their games, she can replace, and I think Jardine would make a um, good change.
Has Jimmy showed anything?
No, very little. I would say very little. He did win the cup, which
the chocolate cup
is something. Yeah, but you need it. You need it. I guess there's so much needed when you Mexi fans were already in Chicken Little. The sky is falling. You burning your jerseys and sorry not to show up to any Moleros. You, need, you needed something to placate the crowds.
Yeah, what I will say is Scolari is not the answer. I don't want him. And, Jose Mourinho, I don't think he's going to fix the problems that we have anyways.
Yeah.
You guys want Almeida.
No.
I mean, honestly, I don't even think it has to do that much with a coach. I just think this generation of players is pretty shitty. And what I mean by that is, our best midfielder is Edson Alvarez. Edson is great at what he's great at. But if you look at his ability to create plays, create dangerous plays, spaces, build up the game, he's not that guy. And it's not his fault because that's not his role. He's good at what he is, which is a CDM. But when that's our best midfielder, that gives you a lot of explanations to why it doesn't matter who's playing forward, that no chances are being created. And it has to do a lot also with Ron was saying, the killing of the number 10. Like, who right now in Liga MX or abroad is that playmaker number 10 that you could give them, let's say, Santi and Henry both playing up top, and that number 10 would be creating plays for the wingers and the strikers? There's none. If you want to say the one who's doing okay, decent, is Piojo. And I know Ricardo is going to laugh like, oh, Piojo Alvarado, blah, blah, blah. And that's the joke in itself. That is one, as far as Mexicans go, that is one of the better playing Mexicans right now. And if you compare him to past generations, he's not that good. So I don't think it has to do with a coach. It's just we have a shitty crop of players. Now, is that just luck or is it just because things haven't been done right? That's for the experts to argue about.
No, it's the teams that haven't done right. Teams like the team you root for and the rest of the teams.
Yeah, none of the teams have done right because right now the only player that could sort of fit into that role is Fidalgo, but he's from abroad. So none of the teams are doing right. It's just a shitty crop of players. That's why, like, I said it in the group chat. That's why Duca pisses me off, and I call him a sellout because he comes out with that quote and says, "Oh, a 4 and 17-year-old comes to Liga MX, and we like are patient with them. We show them with the ropes, and then the 17-year-old Mexicans, we're like, what do you want us to do? Like, we don't do anything for them, And I'm like, Duca, you were one of the guys who argued against that one rule of the what was it called, the 20-11 or whatever. He was one of the guys who argued against that. He actually took fines. He would rather pay the fine than play youth players. He never, he would rarely debut a young player, and now he's saying that the problem with Mexican soccer is that young Mexican players aren't given a chance or aren't like shown the ropes or anything like that. And I think it all just comes and adds up, and we have a shitty crop. We have a shitty generation of players, and that's why when Fidel Ambrí said, "Yo, us younger guys, like we're coming from behind." That's why I kind of like liked what he said, because let's be honest, if we stick with this current generation, we ain't doing shit in 2026. So that's why I wouldn't kind of mind doing what the U.S. national team did. Just throw all the
You
young
can't
guys
do
in
that.
there.
Can't do that.
Throw all the young guys in there. You're already qualified
Pachuca.
for
They're Pachuca.
you're already qualified for
Mexico's
2026.
America and they're Pachuca.
You're
Can't do
already
that.
you're already qualified for 2026. Put in your Malagon, put in the goalie from Querétaro, put in the younger guys, and then hopefully you show up to 2030 being good. Because all you're gonna do is you're gonna take 2026, blow it on all these older guys, your Edson, your Romo, your Ochoa. You're gonna blow it and waste it on them, and then you're gonna start over in 2027, and you're gonna show up to 2030. Okay.
Edson's like 26, man. You guys already want to retire him?
No, I don't want to retire him, but he needs to be given players that play to his strengths. If you watch him as West Ham, what does he do? He does the dirty work. He cleans up, and he has players in front of him that create.
Oh, so you want Nene Beltran on the team? Just say so, man.
No, I've already, might be with Nene Beltran. To me, Nene Beltran and Charlie Rodriguez are two bums that shouldn't be on the national team.
You guys want Nene Beltran and Pocho Guzman starting for Mexico, and that's what you guys are.
How about you take like those dicks out of your ear and stop trying to troll everything and actually take a conversation seriously.
Don't get defensive. I'm just saying what I read online.
No one's talking about Chivas. We're talking about that there's no quality players.
And the first thing you do is blame the first thing you do is blame Edson Alvarez.
I didn't blame Edson Alvarez. I said that he's our best midfielder. Estás pendejo, no escuchas. He's our best midfielder. He's our best midfielder, and it's sad that our best midfielder is.
I won't mention Chivas anymore, man. Jeez.
That our best one is a defensive one. That our best midfielder is not enough.
So how about you get your team to produce some players instead of buying MLS rejects? And then you're complaining about Televisa controlling the national team.
Haven't even brought up Televisa.
That's what you guys need to do.
We have Abdias, who was patiently waiting. Abdias, man, welcome to the show.
¿Qué onda, pupos? ¿Cómo han estado?
Welcome, man. I got a bone to pick with you because,
¿Qué traes, perra?
On Saturday, I didn't get to watch my team, but I was like, Cruz Azul Pumas should be a good one. Fucking snooze fest, bro.
Fucking snooze fest, bro. Even I watched it. I was like, ¿qué pedo es esto? Para a mitad del segundo tiempo me quedé dormido. I was like, nah, chingue su madre, nada va a pasar. Like, this shit is boring as fuck.
And then everybody was hyping up Arsenal Man City the next day, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch that. Fucking 0-0. I'm like, I'm 0 for 2.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, that's why that conversation that we had where Cruz Azul is the Arsenal of Mexico, I second it. It just happened. The synergy was there, and it was put before your eyes. That way you could testify by yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Now, wow, guys, I can't believe that I'm coming in first off late as shit into this episode, and we're still having the Chicken Little conversation.
Every episode feels like.
Bro, I shit you not, and like that's why I missed it last week, right? I want to let idiots like Ron have their speaking platform where they're like, "No, güey, que todo se acabó, que everything's going downhill." I'm surprised that Grandpa arguments over here.
Prove me otherwise. What has Mexican?
I'm surprised that you didn't bring up the argument about like no que liber que we haven't gone back y que quién sabe qué. That's why I didn't come on last week. No, what has every single time we have this conversation?
What has Mexican football done well in the last 8 years?
And that's exactly it. But why the fuck are we having this conversation every single time, dude?
Because that's
like
it's a problem.
It's already been had. Yeah, but we have it every single fucking time. That's why I didn't come on here. Because we have this conversation every single time, just like we have the conversation, which gladly now, like the way that the media has spun everything around, ha sido la autocrítica de que, hey, wait, nothing has really changed from when this whole thing started. Like, if we change Jimmy right now, we're having yet again another Taylor Swift moment where, hey, the problem is everybody else except us. We've been having this issue for a long, long time. And you know what's the best part of it? Now the conversation that's being had was la de Thiago Volpi. Right? Like, oh, how are we going to fix this? How can we do it? Oh, Thiago Volpi has a shit ton of goals. Let's make him the goalie. Let's do this. ¿Sabes qué, güey? You have a very good point. Thiago Volpi is a great goalie. He would be a great addition to the Mexican national team. But the problem is that is a short-minded fix because it doesn't fix the problem in the long run. The problem in the long run is the fact that Mexico doesn't give enough opportunities to its homegrown player. But yet we aren't having this discussion. Well, we have this discussion all the time. It's just that it's finally being brought up to the table. But if you notice, that discussion hasn't gained any traction within Mexico. The conversation right now is fire Jimmy. We have to set up for the new process.
That's not true. People, in fact, last week I brought up the fact of bringing back the presidential decree of basically forcing the teams to not, like, for example, not, the most you can sit, the most amount of foreign players that can play a game in Mexico City is 4, and in the region and in the provinces it's 5. There's a lot of pundits that are saying the same thing, is reducing the amount of players, the foreign players on the roster. Back in the last owners meeting where they said that by 2024 or whatever, 2025, it's going to go from 8 to 7 or from 7 to 6. I don't even remember. People laughed at that. I said, really? It's just you're only going to reduce it by 1? It's a problem. We left Copa America in 2015. Okay, we left Libertadores in 2015. We left Copa America in 2016. Then we had the World Cup. Then we had the World Cup in 2018. And honestly, that the game against Germany basically kind of put a Band-Aid. Because if you think about it, we were exposed and exposed hard. Against Sweden, and then obviously we looked like shit in the what do you call it, in the round of 16, and then after that, it's been the dark ages. And I'm not trying to sound alarmist and stuff like that, but that's what it is. We other than CONCACAF, other than the Champions Cup, what has Mexican, whether it's at the national team level, or the club level, what do they have to show for it? Nothing. I mean, if you want to consider, the what is it, the what is it, the silver or whatever in the Olympics? Okay, I'll give you that. But what else?
There has been total There has been CONCACAF champions. And then the question is, well, then what prestige is there? Right? Because let's remember when this whole thing started about Nations Cup, because I remember we were here. We were like, "Nambre, no vale verga, ¿qué me importa?" It's something that they made up. Es una copa de chocolate, es una copa de chocolate. Pues güey, a cierto punto las copas de chocolate empiezan a pesar. Entonces, ¿qué está pasando? Right? That's the thing that's happening.
In Mexico, nowhere
it's
else.
It's everywhere.
Not in the U.S.
Yeah, because the U.S. suffers from that isolated market where nothing fucking happens.
The U.S., Canada are benefiting, and Central America are benefiting more from the current system that we're in, than Mexico.
The U.S. and Canada is benefiting more from this single conversation that we're having, where we ourselves are instilling fear into our own federation versus them. They operate in the dark. No one gives a shit.
I tweeted, last week after the Nations League. I said, if being pissed off that you lost, that you won that you lost the Nations League, that's not the issue. I could give two shits about it. The U.S. should not be the benchmark. It should not be the gauge. We were always looking towards Brazil. We were always and one of the reasons why Mexico has always fared better against Brazil than in Argentina, because since the 60s, that was basically the benchmark. I said that's what we need to strive for. And basically they started bringing in Brazilians. We wanted to play like the Brazilians. We wanted to be the Brazilians and stuff like that. So it's almost like the U.S., where the U.S. would look to Mexico. We need to learn how to beat those guys. Well, Mexico, we need to beat them. And we've beat them in finals. We've beat them, in many times. We've gone to the Maracanã and beat them, at the club level. So for me, when I'm starting to hear these damn pundits and the new generation of fans, it's like, oh my God, we need to do what MLS is doing. We need to do what the U.S. is doing. It's like, no, fuck no. What the hell? What the hell have they done outside of the continental U.S.? Dick. They haven't done shit. I said,
you know what they've done? Nos han hecho sus perras. That's what they've done. All right. They have shown us that time and time again. They are investing in the proper steps, and Mexico isn't. You know what's the reality of it? Mexico has become stagnant in their game.
What if I mean, who did they beat in this past?
They haven't done shit, Ron. You're right.
They haven't done. You know who they
won one game
Mexico, the self-declared grande de CONCACAF, and they make you look fucking ridiculous in your own tournament.
So what? Yeah, Mexic's goal is not to beat the U.S. It's to try to win the World Cup or win the Copa America.
Goal is to beat the U.S. every single time.
No, it's not. That's your goal.
Yes, it is.
Is your name Brian?
You're speaking as an expert.
Are you a Brian?
All right?
Are you a Brian?
No, I'm someone who's still connected to the motherland. Where my society might be crashing. My society might be coming apart, pero ¿sabes qué, güey? En el pinche fútbol a los gringos les ganamos. Es lo único que tenemos sobre ellos.
You're sounding like those Hondurans that say, al Mundial no vamos, pero a México le ganamos.
Yes. And the guys that know me know this. When I was doing my undergrad, I was still an undergrad student back in '99, right? And I went to a semester in Mexico, and this was obviously during the Copa Confederaciones. U.S. and Mexico, fared in the semifinals. I want you to Google that match, or I'm sorry, YouTube. I want you to search YouTube, and basically the stadium was almost a ghost town. And this is the semifinals of the Confederations Cup, and then fast forward 2 years, in 2001, and then I'm hearing the Andres Cantors and the Telemundos basically calling the U.S. Mexico, la Guerra Fría and shit like that. I'm thinking, what the fuck is this asshole trying to sell me? La Guerra Fría? Come on, dude.
They would cut.
What
They would
the
cut
fuck?
into Pedro
What
el
the-
Escamoso and Betty La Fea to
I know.
to
I mean,
remind
it's
us.
like
No,
to
and it's
remind
like
us this.
both of you
that
guys are
that
right. Both of you guys are right.
and I'm like,
Diaz is right. Ron, you're right. But the thing is that the argument Diaz is making, it looks like it might be wrong, but it looks like that's the path where we're heading. It looks like the
But
path where we're heading is, hey, we got to beat the U.S. We haven't. Come on, we
no, we
haven't
don't.
scored a single goal against them in the last 6 games. You're gonna tell me that subconsciously doesn't carry over to the fans and the players to where it's like, yo, we gotta beat them. We haven't beat them
so
in 6 fucking games.
That's because of the media.
question.
But if
The
Mexico were to
media,
go on and win
wait, what
Copa
the fuck are you
America,
talking about?
no
The
one's gonna
media.
remember
You as a
3
fan
Nations
don't
League
need the
losses.
media to tell you shit when you look at the previous results and you see in the last 6 games, not only have you not beat them, you haven't scored a goal against them. That has
Question.
nothing to do with the
Hey,
media.
how
It's
many
the
times?
on-field performances you're watching.
How many times? How many times does Germany play England? How many times does?
Yeah.
How many times? How many times does Brazil play Argentina? How many times does Argentina play Uruguay? How many times?
Once a
They
year at most.
don't.
At
They
most,
don't
dude.
water down their most valuable product like we do.
And the reason why
Just like, hey, hold on, tell me, how often do you see France play Spain?
not a lot.
Exactly, and you know what? It's one of the biggest rivalries in the world. They don't water down their product.
And what I'm saying is that if you beat the U.S., good, you should. You lose, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. It's a thing. We have nothing to gain and everything
Yeah, it's
to
the
lose.
same thing as fighting a drunk man, right?
Okay,
If
so
you
you
win,
have,
pues because you fought someone drunk, and if you lose, puta madre, güey, ese pinche borracho te partió la
but the
madre.
but the problem is that but the problem is that 15 years ago, 10 years ago, they weren't selling. Oh my God, we need to be like the U.S. Now you're hearing pundits. Oh man, we need to be like the U.S. What?
Yes.
That's
Yes,
the
yes.
that's the problem. You're now advocating for mediocrity. We still need to be looking towards the Germans, towards the Brazilians.
But they haven't even surpassed. The U.S.
Germany
hasn't
hasn't
even
even gone out of the
surpassed
group
Mexico.
stage.
No,
This is the hypocrisy around it.
Germany and Italy have hit a rut, and it's happened. I mean, it's cyclical, but still, those are those.
We make fun of the region. We make fun of the region. Well, by we mean Mexico fans or desprecian, and then they're losing their shit over a Gold Cup or a Leagues Cup, and then they're saying Mex has to catch up when it's the other way around because Mex has achieved more at the international level, right? And these are all cups that they're all winning at home. And you got all these fans losing their shit. That says like
international
Mexico
and
went
club
backwards.
level.
That's why I said that both of you are right. You are right. The U.S. hasn't done nothing outside of CONCACAF, but is that thought process of like, no, they need to prove us wrong. They need to prove us wrong. Instead of saying, hey, you know what? They haven't done shit outside of CONCACAF, but let's make sure it stays that way. Because right now we're looking stagnant. Maybe we're not,
Well, you
but we're
can't
looking
make
stagnant.
sure that it
So
stays
let's
that
grow.
way.
Because if you
I
look
mean,
at the results, no youth World Cups, no women's World Cup, no Olympics. You're getting knocked out of the World Cup in, group stage. So you can call it cyclical. You can say you're stagnant. But at the end of the day, it's you can keep arguing. Oh no, we've always dominated them. They only beat us here because all the games are played in their home soil, so they have the advantage. Blah 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 blah. It's the media is throwing up this scary story to scare everybody. But at the end of the day, right now they have the head-to-head results, and then your players, your team captains like Andres Guardado and Chucky Lozano come out and say that the U.S. is doing better things by sending players over to Europe. So if the media is telling you one thing, the players are telling you another thing. The results are telling you the same thing. You got three different sources telling you that they might have one up against you. What the fuck do you want the fans to believe?
I almost fainted when you mentioned the Women's World Cup. I was like, oh my God.
The point is that across the board, nothing is being done well.
So you mentioned guys that are someone like Guardado, who's pretty much retired. Someone like Pulido,
I mentioned team captain. Team captain.
Well, the guy
your
you said
team
that
captains are coming out and whether your team captains are dumbasses or whether the greatest guys in the world, they're your team captains. Is who the coaches said, yo, these are our guys to lead the team, and the guys who are supposed to lead your team,
those guys put them there.
The U.S. is doing things better.
Those guys put Jimmy there.
So whoever put them as captains is a dumbass. Maybe the players are dumbasses. Whatever the case might be, but that's the message they're selling. So I don't understand why you guys are calling out the fans stupid for buying that message when the on-field results are backing it up, the captains are backing it up, the media is backing it up. It's not like the on-field results has proven otherwise.
You're the type of fan.
No,
I really don't care.
You're the
type of fan that when if America loses to New England, you'd say U.S. is one-upping us again. You mix things up, man. Football doesn't exist here. No matter how much you try to sell that it is, they could have 100 more chocolate nations leagues. People in Mexico and the Pocho fans over here are only gonna give it attention. Anyone else, that no one cares. South Americans, they laugh at everyone laughs at CONCACAF, and they should. It's fucking like that movie Dune. It's a fucking desert. Like no one cares, man.
And that is more of a reason why you sound stupid. No one cares about it. If no one cares about
except the Pocho and Mexico
if no
fans.
one cares about it, it means it's a shitty cup. And if it's
a shitty cup,
if it's a shitty cup that no one cares about,
except you when Santi scored that goal against Panama, you almost wet yourself, man.
You haven't been able to score a single goal. What does that say about you? If it's so shitty that
it is a shitty cup,
easy, you can't even score one goal. You haven't been able to score one goal in 6 games.
In a chocolate cup that was made up in 2019.
One goal in
2019. Not 1950, not 1910, 2019.
One goal and not a single goal in 6 games. So
Vamos a la USA way.
Tournament.
He's gonna have a meltdown when USA plays Brazil in the what do they call it? The Continental Cup this summer.
Oh, the Continental Clásico.
Yeah, the Continental Clásico.
Jesus Christ.
Brought to you by Allstate.
Brought to you by Jóvenes Aztecas MX.
Yeah, dude. They're USA is trying to do everything to buy their prestige and try to build themselves up. That's why they're having all these one-off tournaments, and they're all here. They're all in their own backyard. They're gonna have the World Cup in their backyard. It's like, what a safe space for them.
Artificial away scenario for them. And I said it in the last pod. They've created instead of going away, they created something in the US where Mexico always plays here and they feel like the away team.
Wow, listen to Ricardo, the man who got 7 at-home games last season, talking about fucking.
And that 7-0 you guys ate too, right?
Wait, eso fue like hace tiempo, wait. Tell me something about that happened last year.
Huh?
Tell me something that happened last year.
The one that you picked Tigres against America, remember? And then you missed the next pod?
Wait, you missed it too. You miss every fucking pod that your team loses. Like, espérate, güey, espérate.
Would you say Tigres se la iba a meter a América, and América se la metió a Tigres and Cruz Azul and everyone that season? Liga MX is América's bitch. I already said it. The bicampeonato's coming. The doblete's coming. Just let América do its own thing and we'll play Champions League, Libertadores. We'll do our own thing, and the rest of you losers just play against each other.
Hey, Ricardo, it's not good to sniff your own farts, way. Like, I know it's a cheap way to get high, but please take care of yourself.
Like 4 losses in a row.
Sí, no, güey, pero
Mexico.
4 empates en a row y se la estamos mamando, ¿verdad? That was the other thing, hey. ¿Qué pasó con el pinche Necaxa? I told you that 2 half blunts don't equal a full blunt. Y luego les partió la madre el pinche León. El León, güey, que no mames, que también anda, like, pinche todo tambalucho. Like, I saw that game coming up, and I was like, you know what? This is a good test for Necaxa. This is a good test to see where it is that they are, right? Because León isn't too hot. León has been struggling this entire season. Y luego les metieron la pipa como se las metieron. And I was happy because I remember this conversation. I was like, huh, I guess they're not that full blunt that everyone was saying that they are.
Hey, Joel. I mean, Viñas is with León, and it looks like he's going to Europe. So America's scouting department is second to fucking none, man. Awesome. Well, hey, Joel, I heard you mention something about America being blackballed. I told you that in the last season, and you told me that it was fake news, man.
Going back to what we were talking about, gentlemen, about. Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Keep going. We hear you. Oh, looks like Ron cut off. If we were to see this Champions Cup through, America would be playing either Herediano or Pachuca in the semifinals. I don't know. Pachuca, do they have America's number, or does America already have a foot in the final?
It's a tough matchup because they play like when Mexico goes to El Salvador. They get like the Hulk Central American energy, and they just
sorry guys, my AirPods basically batteries went out. So basically, I mean, for me, I mean, I don't like to complicate things. So when I see the disaster that was Qatar, right, and then the 2 years, before Qatar with Tata Martino and stuff like that, where the team had nothing. I mean, no ideas, no football, it was just nothing. For me, I don't see this as just a coincidence where Mexico leaves the CONMEBOL tournaments in 2015, 2016. And then basically just gradually you're having more national more foreigners in the league, and then you lose, then you stop promotion and relegation. For me, what happened in Qatar wasn't just a one-off, because I remember I kept hearing people say, it's no big deal. I mean, it happens. We went what was it? What, 94? How many did we go? Like eight World Cups, 9 World Cups in a row where we were always in the top 16, which it's, I know it's not elite, but that was a good place to be in, that you're in the top 16 consistently for basically 30 years, right? And I don't see what happened in Qatar, and then the aftermath of Qatar. I don't see that as a coincidence. I think that I mean there's a cause and effect of basically accepting, doing deals where basically you're breeding to be mediocre. And I again, I understand, losing to the U.S. and stuff like that 6 times or whatever, 5, 6 times you can't score. I get it. That it looks bad, but I don't see that as the major problem. Oh my God, we can't beat the U.S. Fuck that, dude. It goes beyond that. There's fundamental problems at the administrative level, at the federation level, at the league level. These are problems that we did not have 20 years ago. I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I don't know if you guys can remember what it felt like to have Mexico play in the finals of 1993 against Argentina. or when Cruz Azul made the Copa Libertadores finals, or when we were, basically playing toe to toe with Brazil in '97 and '99, the best team in the world, and we were basically playing toe to toe, and in some cases also some of the games that Mexico should have won, like in the Copa America in '97, the Copa America in '99. And then we were constantly playing against top. So the top. Argentina in '93 was a damn good team. Brazil's in '97, '99 were great teams and stuff. So we were able to basically see you were getting tested every goddamn day. We don't have that. We don't have it, and if this is me being a broken record, oh well. But I know what I saw in the '90s, in the early 2000s, and what Mexico was doing, and we're not doing that right now. And the results, for me, it's not a surprise. There's a cause and an effect. And until we basically get and in some regards, I don't want to blame the fans, because in some ways we're powerless, but no, if we you remember the game that basically hardly no Mexican fans went to. What was it? Was it in Dallas? Like shortly after Qatar, there was a game in Mexico where like hardly none of the fans went to the game.
Yeah, Dallas.
It was Dallas, right? Honestly, I think that's what a lot of the fans need to start doing is, is stop accepting mediocre tournaments, stop accepting moleros, and basically hurt them,
Yeah. The boycott lasted for all of 5 seconds.
But did it work?
No.
Temporarily, it worked for a little.
It did not work.
It scared. Coca got out.
Exactly. So the fan did strike a little fear into the federation and stuff like that. And you're right. It basically got Coca out and stuff like that. But right now, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else.
I don't know what to do. God damn it! I hear you.
It's frustrating.
To be the best, you got to play against the best, man.
Yeah, you're true. You're right.
It's not just
consistently.
Yeah,
you got to do it consistently. Every year, I remember when I was an undergrad, right? When Liga MX started to get into the Copa Libertadores and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys remember, recall this, but I used to sometimes program my classes so I could watch the Copa Libertadores. Back then they didn't. We didn't have the Fox. Back then they didn't have the Fox Sports. World Deportes, whatever. I had to go to rinky-dink bars and stuff like that and watch this through closed circuit. But we every season, every year, the Mexican teams, had something in the calendar where they were playing teams that were either, on par or better than them. And for me, that's the only way you get better.
To your point, Ron, that account, that Sudamerica MX, they did a post 6 hours ago. 16 years ago, America played River Plate in the Libertadores. Yeah. I watched that game.
Yeah.
The River Plate side, Alexis Sanchez, stacked. Abreu, they had a bunch of guys on that team. You'll never see that type of competition in Leagues Cup, CONCACAF. None. That's the only way Mexican players are going to play players of that caliber before they go to Europe.
Yeah, I know you're right, and like I said, if Mexico is going to send more players to Europe, the only way they're going to do that is by basically shining in the South American tournaments, because the CONCACAF, that ain't going to do it. They're either the Mexican players that basically would go to Europe it's either because they did something well in a Copa America and a Copa Confederaciones, or or they did well in Copa Libertadores. So
Chicharito.
we have to we basically have to straighten out the problems at home first, domestic, before we even start, thinking about sending, players abroad,
And no one saw America's game today against New England and thought, "Oh shit! Look at that young player playing against that second tier MLS team. We should take him to Europe."
There was a. You remember the game America beat the was it Flamengo in the Maracanã?
Yep, I watched
You
that
remember?
game live, man.
Yeah, you remember? You remember that keeper? That goalkeeper, the one that killed his wife or his
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
You remember? Do you remember that interview towards the end of the game where he's like, "You have anything to say?" And his voice just starts, breaking. I mean, I mean, those were just. I mean, those were just. I mean, I used to look forward. I used to look forward to Copa Libertadores, even if America wasn't, participating. I used to love watching, teams like, like for example, when Chivas beat Boca. I mean, the way they beat Boca, man. Hey, hats off. You know, like when Pachuca beat Colo Colo to win the final in the Copa Sudamericana. Uh, my hats off. Even the game, like for example, when Pumas played Boca Juniors for the final in the Copa Sudamericana. I mean, just the atmosphere. I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, I think Pumas actually got screwed. They should have won that game. You know, but even those games that where the Mexican teams got screwed, like for example, River played Santos in the Copa Libertadores. That type of the Mexican players being exposed to that type of hostile environment and adversity. That's where those players get that experience.
Some grit, right?
Yeah, they learn they learn how to play, aside from playing in different climates and adversities and altitudes. you know uh, they learn the dark arts, which tends to happen a lot in South America. You have those really shady type of games, where everything's basically against you. The home field advantage, the officiating, the fans. I mean, remember, think of Bofo, at the Bombonera. You know, I mean, the way he riled up the Boca players and the Boca fans. I know I'm an Americanista, dude, but dude, you gotta love that. You know, so I don't know. For me, like I said, I'll be the broken record, and I'll keep insisting, and I'll keep saying that's the path that the league needs to go into. We need to basically expose our players to better tournaments, day in, day out. Not every 4 years, but do this year in and year out. Gentlemen, that's it for me tonight, gentlemen. I got to wake up early.
Thank you,
So it's
Ron.
one.
Good night.
Yep.
Speaking of Libertadores, Endrick plays tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, the Wonderkin from Brazil. I was trying to watch the River game today, but it was, pretty lackluster. And then I think they ended up winning 2-0. But yeah, I don't know, man. Libertadores doesn't have that spark like it used to now that Liga MX doesn't participate. Um, yeah, it's just one of those tournaments.
I basically watch it to see the future stars, man, because that's where most of them are coming from.
Oh yeah.
I was watching today. I think it's still in the group stage. They're playing. Flamengo played Millonarios de Colombia, and one of the Flamengo players like had an open shot and he missed it, and the camera just had a perfect shot of all the Colombian fans just talking shit and just flipping off the Brazilian players. And if that was an MLS fan, they would have stopped the game like 30 times already, and had like an announcement on the screen.
Hey guys, before I leave, did we talk about Gonzalo?
No, we didn't.
Están viendo tus hijos, Gonzalo.
So what was the full story then? He got ripped off?
He got ripped off. All right. So he bought tickets, and they ended up being fake. So he went back and apparently beat the shit out of the dude, right? But when he went back asking for his money, the dude said that he didn't have that money anymore. So he basically beat the crap out of him, but he was still up Shit's Creek and didn't have he didn't have the tickets, right? He didn't have the tickets, he didn't have the money, so he lost everything, and he looked and that's why he took it out on that. Apparently he hit some like a bus or whatever, right? People thought that when he hit that wall, it was actually like one of the like the tunnels, but no, it was a bus. But my question to you guys is should you have stuck with the original story or this or the truth?
I think it will still continue to be used as like, anytime Chivas lose frustratingly, like he'll still be a meme forever. But I don't know why they took so long.
Otra vez.
I don't know why they took so long to like tell the story. I don't know.
So that's not the first time that happened to him because he said otra vez, right? He got ripped off before.
That's why I tweeted. That's why I tweeted. A response was that se le aplicaron, no hay pedo.
But that must be the most famous Chiarman in the world, man.
Oh, 100%.
But here, it actually makes sense because, I mean, back 8 years ago when this became when it happened, I was wondering why this guy the guy didn't come out and basically take advantage of his fame, kind of like how the Argentine guy, you remember Tano Pazman, the famous Argentine River fan that just went berserk and just started ranting when River.
That one.
Say that one, right?
Yeah.
Solamente te pido 3 pases, no 27 como Barça, La concha. So I was wondering why Gonzalo didn't take advantage of this fame, because I mean I remember seeing tweets and stuff like that where Chivas was, they were asking for Gonzalo to basically hey, come to the game and stuff like that. But now it makes sense because apparently I think that if I understand correctly and if I read it correctly, that that little that fight that he had, I think he ended up going to jail, or at least presenting himself with in front of the police station because he assaulted that ticket hold the criminal, whatever his name was.
Oh, I see.
So I'm assuming that's why he didn't take advantage of his fame.
He doesn't want to face legal charges. I mean,
I think that would have.
Yeah.
See, but yeah, because I mean, this came to light now. What, 8 years after the fact?
Dang, it's been that long. Holy shit!
It's been that long, dude. And like, I mean, he should have capitalized it. I think. I mean, because, I mean, Tano Pazman, dude, he fucking capitalized on it.
Yeah.
Would get invited to like shows and basically tickets and shit like that. It's
even
like,
the La Calle de Edgar, he got fucking his 10 seconds of fame.
He still takes advantage of that.
Yeah.
I think he's a lawyer now, if I'm not mistaken.
Even the fucking kid from the Oxxo that goes, ooh, like even that guy fucking is famous, dude.
Or what about the empanada guy, the kid?
Which was that one?
He was selling empanadas like in, I think, Cancun or Acapulco, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah. In fact, Pumas president, former Pumas president, what's his name? Carlos Slim's son-in-law. Ayub, right? I mean, he even, I think he paid for some business classes and stuff like that. I mean, he took advantage of his, fame,
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to talk about that because I mean that Gonzalo thing's been cracking me up all day, with all the memes.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. For sure, folks. We're at 2.5 hours. I don't know. You guys want to keep going?
One other thing. During the transmission during the match today, they're talking about Perro Bermudez and Bam Bam. We're talking about the winner. What is it? The FIFA's World Cup, whatever, Club World Cup.
Uh-huh.
So did they change the format? They were talking about that there were going to be more teams like Chelsea and Man City and Bayern and Real Madrid and then there were going to be like the three Copa Libertadores, like the champions, and then Tigres and León or whatever, and then if America wins, they'll also be in there. So, do you know like the format and where it's going to be played?
So they've expanded it to 32 teams. This was in lieu of the Confederaciones. So they killed that off, and now it's the Club World Cup expanded to 32 teams. 12 will be from UEFA. It says the Champions League winners between 2020 all the way up to 2024. And then it says the other 8 teams to be determined by a club ranking based on the same 4-year period, whatever that means. 6 teams from CONMEBOL, Copa Libertadores winners, between 2021 and 2024, and the 2 other teams determined by a club ranking system. And then in CONCACAF, it's going to be pretty easy. The league winners from the Champions League between 2021 and 2024. And that's kind of like pretty much the same for the other regions, AFC.
Is the Leagues Cup getting a slot?
No.
No, so it's just straight up CONCACAF winners.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it going to be played in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's in the U.S.
Okay.
It says, in the event of a club winning 2 or more editions of the Confederation's Premier Club competition, a club ranking calculated according to a sporting criteria will be used to grant access. And I think that is the case for Monterrey. So if Monterrey end up winning this Champions Cup, they've already said that the Philadelphia Union would take that spot, which I don't know why they picked Philly Union, but that was what I heard today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Well, why does Rayados get a spot?
I mean, I think it's a lot better format than the traditional, one where the one that's been played for like the last 20 years, because I mean it's always usually between Europe and South America, but it always comes the travel going to like Japan or going to like Dubai or the Middle East or whatever. It's I think that this is a better format, and if they're gonna do it, they should rotate it.
Yeah. Ricardo, to answer your question, why is Monterrey going? It's because they beat America in the 2021 edition. You probably try to erase that from your memory.
Oh, of course. Unnecessary fact.
Yeah, so Monterrey, Seattle Sounders, León, and then the winner of this year's Champions Cup.
Hold on. You said Monterrey, León, Seattle Sounders, and who else?
Whoever wins this one.
So only 4 teams from CONCACAF.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty fair, I think. How many more spots do you want?
So how is it yearly, the Club World Cup? Like, how would that work after this?
After this one, who knows? But this is one that has been expanded at 32 teams. Yeah. So there's that incentive for the MLS, Messi, and company to try and get another spot. I think it doesn't make sense though. Like, if Monterrey end up winning again, it's like it should go to another Liga MX team. Shouldn't just go to an MLS team to bounce things out.
To the runner-up.
Or to the runner-up. Yeah, that's a good call out. I think, who knows? Right now, it's up for grabs. Pachuca, America, Monterrey, Tigres. It could be any of those four. Or Messi, if we get the agenda pulled on us. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game. I think Messi hasn't had too many opportunities against Liga MX teams. I know Cruz Azul failed miserably last year. Abdias.
He wasn't even on the pitch by the time that Cruz Azul was really doing the work. By the time he came in and everything kind of changed.
Mm-hmm.
¿Qué pedo, güey? Aquí estoy.
For sure.
Te estoy diciendo, like, it was the first half where Cruz Azul was pushing fucking Inter shit in, right? Then Messi came on, then Iniesta came on, and the whole game changed. Right? So it's completely different now. Here's the big question there. I might just be misinformed. Didn't Messi not even travel with the team? He's not in Monterrey.
No. They're in Miami.
Oh, they're in Miami right now?
Yeah. They're going to play in Miami tomorrow and then, next week.
Bro, next week. Do you think Tata survives Mexico? Like the animosity that is brewing?
That's what we're all looking forward to is his return to Mexico since, stepping out from the national team. I think the press is going to eat him up and obviously the fans too.
The fan base, bro. I want to see their hotel de concentración.
Not that Monterrey is known to support the national team, but I'm sure that they'll.
Sir, it's not about supporting the national team. It's about hating on a foreigner. And that's what Mexico excels at.
Yeah. There was a screenshot shared of like a palco going for like over 500,000 pesos for that game.
You mean $3?
Oh, don't be like that.
And what about the Pachuca Herediano game? Is it being played in Costa Rica, or are they playing the first leg in Pachuca?
Yeah, so tomorrow they are in La Pura Vida, Costa Rica.
Okay.
Yeah. Estadio Nacional de Costa Rica. And of course, it's going to be Pity Altamirano, the coach for Herediano.
There's a lot of there's quite a handful of Mexicans playing in the Costa Rican league, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, as I think the thing that the press keeps saying is that there's actually more active Mexican coaches in Costa Rica than there are in Liga MX.
But aren't players like is it Landin, or aren't they still playing like in players in Costa Rica?
I know there's players in Costa Rica, but Landin, man, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I'm pretty sure.
Isn't it Cubo Torres?
Was it Cubo Torres? No, you're right. It was Cubo Torres who I think last week I saw some tweets that I think he was selling Uber or I think he was selling something, dude, over there in Costa Rica. Cubo Torres.
Oh, he's at Herediano.
Okay. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think in the domestic league, I think he was he got sent off or whatever. So there was this one game where he didn't do anything. So I think he's got a business over there. I think, but should be interesting, dude. Costa Rican teams tend to complicate. They tend to play well against the Mexican teams.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, still playing professionally in Costa Rica, that's not a bad place to be at. Like, I'm not gonna hate on anyone over there. I know they're.
No.
I know it's not like prestigious as like playing in Mexico, but Costa Rica's nice, bro. It's nice.
If you know, if if you were to say, hey, Ronaldo, if you can be 22 years old and play first division in Guatemala or Costa Rica or whatever, shit, I'd do it.
I know.
You know,
Absolutely.
I can't hate on anybody. I don't care the league, the continent, or whatever. If you're still playing, if you're able to play, professional, soccer and get paid, and do it, fuck it, dude. You know,
That's exactly Guli Peña's motto. It's like, where do they want me? Syria? I'll fucking go to Syria.
You're the one that always says, damn, he must have a really good agent.
Yeah, bro. This dude is still employed. He is in Syria right now, like playing professionally. Crazy.
He's probably gonna have more clubs than Loco Abreu, dude. Once all said and done.
I don't think so, dude. Loco has like at least 20 clubs. I'm actually pulling up his Wikipedia right now. This guy, 32 teams in 11 countries. Holy shit, dude.
I was recently watching an interview with Loco Abreu and they also had, like for example, they had Luis Suarez, and they were talking about the 2010 World Cup, and he was just talking about his experiences over there, where he's taking a shower, but there's no hot water coming out, and he's yelling, at his he's yelling at his teammates, "Hey, you guys have hot water and stuff like that?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And the reason is because he thought, he thought that the sea was caliente. I'm trying to find it. I forgot what he thought the other one, the H, was for, but Luis Suarez, when he was telling that story in like the accent and hot and cold and stuff like that, oh my god, I was just laughing my ass off,
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, all right, gentlemen, you guys have a wonderful night.
All right, man. Thank you.
Talk to you guys next week.
Sounds good. Before we take our last hot takes, looking into match week 14, we starts with Mazatlan Pumas. Then we got Tijuana. Maybe they'll get their first victory against Necaxa, but probably not. León Querétaro, Tigres Pachuca. I'm sure both teams will probably use their B-side for that one, since they're both participating in Champions Cup. Chivas have a great game against Puebla. That should be an easy victory. Puebla's in last place. Cruz Azul Monterrey probably be the match to watch over the weekend. Santos America, I feel like those games back in the day used to be better. I don't know about today. And then Toluca Atlas on Sunday. And the match week 14 ends with San Luis Juarez. So those are your matches for the weekends. All right, folks.
Yeah, the Santos America game. There's this one game in particular. I was pissed. It was a playoff. It's a playoff match. I think it was. I don't remember if it was in 2002 or 2005, but it was after one of those really great seasons that America had, like where they were super leader and stuff like that, right? And they ended up playing Santos. I think it was in 2002 or 2003. Where they ended up playing Santos in the quarterfinals, and this was around the time where Azteca America was starting to basically, hit the U.S. markets, right? So obviously the game was being played in Estadio Corona, and it was the quarterfinals, and I'm watching the game, And then next thing you know, at the time I was living in Houston. I don't know, right around the 60th minute or something like that. Azteca America basically cuts the game, and then goes and starts televising this local church sermon.
Really?
Oh God, I was fucking pissed. I mean, I was livid. I was like, I called the station. What the hell are you guys doing? What's they paid for this time slot?
Oh my
And
God.
and the guy is saying the guy told me that they were receiving so many goddamn phone calls of just American. They just fucking pissed, dude. I was like, motherfuckers.
Hey, I mean that happened not too recently in the Fox was it FS2? They cut the stream from the Champions Cup to put on college basketball. So, yeah, still going on in 2024.
Jesus.
All right, folks. Al Pastor, Abdias, Ricardo, I want to hear your I guess your hot take for tonight. Closing thoughts.
¿Qué pedo, putos? Pues miren, yo llegué tarde, entonces yo voy primero. ¿Verdad? Esas son las reglas. So, first of all, I want to say that a good, like, middle to lower end of the table game is actually going to be, what's it called? Juarez versus Atletico. Right? Juarez is coming in on a hot streak. They've been winning the past 3 games. Now, if they play on a Friday, puta madre, way, because these guys are playing in a league of their own. So where they play on a Friday, they tend to win. So that's going to be an interesting, like, shit sipping game.
They play on Sunday.
So well, wait. If you don't want to really listen to your wife bitch about something stupid, just put on the game. You'll be fine. All right, just be like, "Sí, mi amor, ahorita, you know what? I'll do it when it goes on commercial." And if you know, you know, right? So you do it that way. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was the fact that we're still having this Chicken Little conversation. We need to really take a look at our game itself, the way the Mexican league is developing, and just kind of how it works. Now, one of the biggest issues with that is that we have to keep in mind that a long time ago, it was declared that Liga MX is a completely separate and independent product from La Selección.
Yep.
So Liga MX is going to do what Liga MX finds best in their business model and in their personal interest over Selección. So while we ourselves many times say it, club over country, seems like club is taking the same decisions. So let's just be prepared for that. We're still going to get fucked over. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, but we didn't have enough time to expand about, was the fact that they are going to be doing a points-based champion, right? Taking the overall aggregate on points from Apertura and Clausura, and they will be awarding an actual trophy in the Campeón de Campeones game to whoever the winner is, which more than likely will be the person who has the most points during both Clausura and Apertura. So that's going to be a fun fact that's coming. Hopefully, we can actually make something out of it. And it starts to shift the general mindset of, hey, these short season tournaments, maybe we should go to something longer. There is some reward. Maybe make it a monetary incentive. That way, now you have a reason to strive for this achievement and award. And then we'll just kind of see how all of that develops. Lastly, is I just want to say to Ron and Ricardo, que los dos me la pelan, ¿verdad? It's always the same arguments. It's always the same points. Come on, boys, update and bring something new to the table.
La niña está triste. Yes, Ricardo. You're up next, man. I want to hear your hot take, your closing thoughts.
No hot take. America filled up their stadium because MLS doesn't exist. You, everyone saw it. There's no Mexicans in Boston, and there's no football in USA. And to the blue-haired gentlemen like Habibi and Miguelito and Abigail Diaz, I mean, you guys are obsessed with MLS, but it's a shit show, and Mexico's never gonna do that. So get over yourselves.
Habibi, still on? Love to hear your closing thoughts. Maybe your prediction for Monterrey Inter tomorrow.
Hey, hold on. I just want to come in one more thing that I forgot. I wanted to mention that el verdadero espíritu de fútbol lives in the U.S. after what you just said, because if you didn't see the ambiance and the vibes that the America versus Cruz Azul generated over this FIFA break in LA, my dear good sir, you are blind. That was Libertadores level ambience, the way they had to shut down the game because of the smoke bombs, the fucking wildness that was happening on the stands. That right there was beauty. That was football, and I miss that. That's what makes me want for us to go back to Libertadores.
To respond to that real quick, estás bien pendejo. The football doesn't live here. The reason that doesn't happen in Liga MX is because the fans have been taking those special privileges have been taken away from them. Las barras, they've been trying to wipe them out. They can't put no more color in the stands without getting in problems. So yeah, everyone that's doing that is all the pochos that they get the team once a year, so they go all out for it. But let's not knock on the fans in Mexico, like they don't want to create that ambiente. They're just not allowed to. Now, I don't know if I really have a hot take. This is my favorite part of Liga MX, the final four games. See what form teams get in, how they arrive. That's all that matters. The first 7 jornadas to me are preseason. This is what really matters. This is where some people start getting excited. While these 4 jornadas go through, all I'm thinking about is Real Madrid, Manchester City. That's it. That's all I'm waiting for. That's the final Champions League ahead of time. That's all I want to see, and let's see what happens. So, for the short term, already thinking about Liguilla. Could care less what happens these last 4 games, and already thinking about Manchester City, Real Madrid.
Like a good cerote.
Sí, señor.
That's funny. Well, guys, I appreciate the 3-hour energy of this podcast. Yes, I do agree. A lot of these topics have been beaten with a dead horse. And, doesn't seem like we have any influence or power to change the way things are happening at the front office. But I do appreciate talking about Libertadores from time to time, but we're not going to get back in that tournament anytime soon. I have a couple of public service announcements. The first one, Chivas will be playing in San Jose in July, specifically July 27th. Tickets already out, and that is for the Leagues Cup matchup, so it will be an official match, not a friendly. The other thing that I really hope everyone takes the time to do, replace your smoke alarm batteries. I heard some chirping on tonight's episode. It's just do it, man. Takes 2 seconds. Get a 9-volt. Was that a soundbite there from Abdias? I appreciate it. One tweet that I saw last week that really sparked my interest was that Liga MX is the 4th most watched football league in the world based on worldwide television audience. We are number 4. Number 1 is Premier League. Number 2 is La Liga. Number 3 is League 1, Liga MX, and Serie A. One is not like the others, and obviously that's Mexico. And a lot of people reacted to this tweet like, what the fuck is Liga MX? Which goes to show the amount of audience and market that is still up for grabs. And we're number 4. and I, recently redeemed my MLB TV, award for the season because I have T-Mobile and they give it out every single year. And I was wondering, like, why can't Liga MX do that? They still have their deals with their local network provider. Like here in the Bay Area, we have like NBC or whatever. It's like, yo, keep your deal that you have in Mexico, like whoever you guys partner with for your television rights, but why not also just take an extra amount of money and sell your league as a collective bundle to the rest of the world? Like in Mexico, do what you got to do. Like I get it, get your money, but like in the US and worldwide, I don't understand how Liga MX isn't jumping all over that tweet. I mean, they have to have this data somewhere, right? Like they can't be that stupid. And I would love to see, now that we're seeing Amazon Prime maybe put in an offer for Chivas rights, like why not? Why stop there? Why not go for the entire league? I would like to see. I mean, I'm sure Apple, Amazon, YouTube, TV. I don't know. There's got to be one provider out there that's like looking at these numbers and saying we need to jump on that. Maybe Paramount. Like who knows? One of the big streaming companies, though, should definitely take advantage and strike when the iron's hot with Liga MX TV rights. It would be nice to just be able to buy it and have access to all the games and not have to go through VIX and all these other freaking TV providers. And that's about it. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game against Monterrey and Inter Miami. I honestly think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. And then for Chivas on Saturday against Puebla, I really hope they open it up and get at least 3 to 4 goals. They are the worst team in the league, so a victory is the minimum. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we'll catch you in the next one. Take care. My YouTube family, thank you guys for being here, for supporting us. And make sure that you check out manscaped.com. Support us by getting some chones or some razors or some deodorant for your balls. Get 20% off and free shipping.